recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Wrestling Memory Grenade, and we are now on episode 71. Time to have a little fun as we begin March 1987 TV here in the World Wrestling Federation, heading in to WrestleMania 3, and I am your host, Ray Russell. And I hope you guys enjoyed our special bonus edition over this past week, episode number 70, featuring an In Your House 6 review from February 1996. It was Bret the Hitman Hart defending his WWF title against Big Daddy Cool Diesel, Shawn Michaels taking on Owen Hart for the number one contender that title shot at WrestleMania 12, plus Razor Ramon against The Kid in a crybaby match, and Yokozuna speaks English for the very first time. A very fun episode was episode 70 of The Grenade. It was actually a throwback episode from one of our mini shows over at the Patreon exclusive watch-along series as part of the all-access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia, but more on that a little later. A reminder that you can listen to the Wrestling Memory Grenade as well as all of our sister shows over at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network on WrestleCopia.com, that's WrestleCopia.com, and everywhere else your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Google Pod, and beyond. And you can follow the Grenade, WrestleCopia. You can follow me, Ray Russell, on our social media accounts over at Twitter. Follow us at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade, home of the free prize giveaway. Also follow and like us on Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and or Facebook for your chance to enter and win all future free prize giveaways, including our current giveaways. That's right, I said giveaways, guys. That's plural. 2 free prize giveaways being given away as part of the upcoming WrestleMania 3 Definitive Edition of the Grenade in just a couple weeks' time. And you may be asking, Ray, what are those free prize giveaways? Well, I'm here to tell you 2, count them, 2 free prize giveaways. First, a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat autographed 8x10 promo pic of the Dragon as Intercontinental Champion from here in 1987. Our second prize, another autographed 8x10 promo pic, this time of the Honky Tonk Man as Intercontinental Champion. 2 free prizes, 2 winners to be announced as part of our WrestleMania 3 Definitive Edition of the Grenade coming up, as I said, in just a couple weeks' time. You too can win the Ricky Steamboat or Honky Tonk Man autograph promo pic, and all you have to do in order to win one of these free prizes and all future free prizes here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade, all you have to do is follow us on Twitter, again at Wrestling Grenade. Follow and like us on Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade for your chance to win each and every future free prize giveaway. It's that simple. And while you're at it, make sure to stop on over to our YouTube channel. You can find us there at youtube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Again, youtube.com/Wrestling Grenade. I've added tons of new videos from the AWA, the WWF in both 1987, 1988. Lots of fun times to be had over at our YouTube channel. Go check it out, and we're adding new content each and every week. And just a sidebar here real quick, want to thank each and every one of you who has been following us on our social media accounts, spreading the word, liking our videos, retweeting our videos, commenting on our shows, subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's really meant a lot to me. It's really helped the Grenade grow week after week, and it's all because of you, the listeners. But I encourage you guys to please continue doing so. We're not done yet. We're still making stride in getting to that next level. And as long as you guys continue to support me and show your interest, I will continue to do all of this extensive research, all of the great detail I put into these shows, grabbing all the videos, all the images, all of the sound bites, bringing you everything I can, because it's you guys that make this all worthwhile. And going back to the top of the program, now is a great time to be a patron, a WrestleCopia patron, that is, our revamped and all-new WrestleCopia Podcast Network Patreon account over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That's patreon.com/WrestleCopia. 12 tiers to choose from, but I recommend you start at the $5 all-access tier. $5 gets you 6 gifts, including our insanely detailed show notes for both the Wrestling Memory Grenade as well as sister show Monday Warfare. where we talk Raw versus Nitro there. Also, you receive early access to many of the WrestleCopia podcasts. You can listen days, sometimes even a week before the rest of the listeners out there. And it doesn't end there. Unedited versions of many of our podcasts, including Tom Robinson's TR Shocks the World show. And of course, our Patreon exclusive watch along series. We put a lot of those out for free recently. Very retro episodes. We won't be doing that again in the future. You can consider these bonus shows, sample shows here on the Grenade over the last couple weeks. Some of these Patreon exclusives we've done, including WWF and WCW pay-per-views, Coliseum videos, Saturday night's main events, Flair versus Steamboat Clash of the Champions 6, and so much more over at our Patreon exclusive watch-along series. And now also added to the tier, remastered versions of the earliest episodes of the Grenade covering the NWA in 1989. What does remastered mean, Ray? It means enhanced sound quality and new content, originally edited out of the initial broadcast, edited right back into the show. And it doesn't end there. We've also added now digital downloads, guys. Our sixth gift for $5, digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure. And you get all of that, guys, for the low price of just $5. The all-access tier, again, gets you our insanely detailed show notes, the Patreon exclusive watch-along series, remastered versions of the show, early access to many of our podcasts, digital downloads for your reading and viewing pleasure, and so much more. And all of that, again, for the low price of $5. And this is the best part. No subscription. You can cancel anytime. Give it a go for a month. And I think you'll like the content we offer. And remember this, every penny of it goes right back in to the podcast network. So please help us pay the bills, help keep the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Monday Warfare, our upcoming brand new territory-based podcast, and so much more up and running for the years to come. And I apologize in advance for any noise outside. They're still repaving the roads. I think they're going to finish up today, though. So that's good news. Also apologize if I sound a little nasally this week, guys. I have some sort of a cold or allergies or something along those lines. But the show must go on, as they say. All right, guys, when we last left off the 1987 project here, talking about March news, we also looked at the house show results and Saturday night's main event for March 14th here in 87. And now we go back to the beginning of the month of March and begin looking at and dissecting all of the WWF TV leading into WrestleMania, 4 weeks away from the big one, WrestleMania 3. And we kick things off back on March 2nd with Primetime Wrestling.
This is Gorilla Monsoon.
And your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primetime Wrestling.
All right, this is going to be a loaded edition of Primetime. You want to talk about Soundbites Galore? This is where it's at, guys. Tons of soundbites here, and you'll hear a lot of them leading into WrestleMania. Bobby Heenan hosting a show while promoting an event such as WrestleMania with one of his men, Andre, in the main event. Lots of Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon here over the next 4 weeks in Soundbites, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And as the show gets going, immediately we're in the hard sell for the Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant main event, WrestleMania 3. This will continue all month long here on Primetime and every other WWF program as well. But let us go off to Gorilla and Bobby shilling the main event of WrestleMania 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Primetime Wrestling, where we feature the greatest professional athletes in the world, the superstars, in fact, of the World Wrestling Federation, and there are some tremendous guys around. No question in anybody's mind, Bobby.
And the hottest thing coming up in the world today is WrestleMania 3.
Well, there hasn't been a match of this magnitude ever. Not only since I've been around professional wrestling, but ever in the history of professional wrestling has a match of this magnitude gone down, like the match between Andre the Giant and the world's heavyweight champion Hulk Hogan. I have to thank you for the invitation to come to the training camp I promised I wouldn't say where it was. I was impressed, to say the least.
I mean, your accommodations were fine.
Everything was fine.
Okay.
I was impressed. You know, I've known Andre ever since his inception into the world of professional wrestling, as I've known Hulk Hogan ever since he started in the world of professional wrestling. On occasion, I've had an opportunity to be a partner of Andre the Giant in a number of matches, as well as a pleasure was mine to be partner to Hulk Hogan, the world's heavyweight champion. Andre is more powerful now than I've ever seen him in his entire career. He's in better condition now than I've ever seen him. In fact, Andre the Giant is the most dangerous individual at this particular point in time of anyone that I can think of in the realm of professional sports.
Then it's safe to say you're a little more impressed this week than you were last.
I am indeed impressed.
The
with
odds
Andre
are
the Giant. Right now, we're going to go
changing a bit.
All right, Gorilla Monsoon, impressed by Andre's training camp. Gorilla says he knows both men pretty well, both Hulk and Andre, and he says that Andre the Giant is more powerful now and in better condition than he's ever been. I don't know about that, Gorilla. I know Monsoon's job was to over-exaggerate, and he did a tremendous job of it on the weekly back in the day, but this was just a little bit too much for me. Andre the Giant in better condition than he's ever been. I don't know. It's Gorilla, so he gets a pass. But as the show goes on, the conversation continues, as you might imagine. Bobby Heenan wanting to pick the Gorilla's brain. Imagine that, the brain, trying to pick somebody else's brain here. And Gorilla lures Bobby right in. He says Andre looked great at the training camp, but there was one thing lacking. One thing lacking? Let's listen.
Let's get back to last week. Last Wednesday, in fact, when I was up at your little den of iniquity, shall we say.
Training camp.
One thing is lacking, I found. Andre doesn't think for himself. Andre depends on you at this particular point in time for some unknown reason to do all his thinking for him, all his talking for him. However, come March 29th, somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 p.m. Eastern Time, he's going to have to step in there, in between the ropes and inside the ring. Not you.
Oh, no.
Him. He'll have to do that.
Right. And the reason I'm doing all his talking for him now and all his thinking for him now is so he won't have to be bothered with anything but one thing on his mind, Hulk Hogan.
Well, that can backfire, and as we get farther on into the program today, I'll tell you exactly how it can backfire.
Gorilla Monsoon pointing out that Andre no longer thinking for himself, but he will have to do so at WrestleMania. Good point made there by Monsoon. However, the conversation doesn't end there. Bobby Heenan continues throughout the episode, begging Gorilla Monsoon, you notice something that might cost Andre the match at WrestleMania. What is it? Spill it, Gorilla.
I would tell you something if I knew something. I think it's fair just to tell me.
Please, why are you pressuring me about this? Are you worried? Are you concerned? Obviously you are.
No, I'm looking at you. I know your career, Monsoon. You are a wrestling legend. You're an expert. You've done it all. And if you found something that I need to know about Andre, I would appreciate it.
What makes you think I would tell you?
I invited you up there. I foot the bill for you.
Please.
You ate like you were going to the chair.
Special match coming up right now.
And Gorilla continues to have fun with the brain there. He noticed something that might cost Andre the match, it would seem, and Bobby Heenan wants to know, what is it? What is that one thing you noticed during Andre's training camp? There's also other things going on in the World Wrestling Federation, one of those being the upcoming feud, or the potential feud, between Blackjack Mulligan and the outlaw Ron Bass. And here's a quick fun banter between the Brain and Gorilla in regards to that possible feud.
I would like to see a match between the outlaw Ron Bass and my good friend Big Blackjack Mulligan. Would you not like to see a match of that nature?
Yeah, that'd be a good match.
Yeah, it certainly would.
You know, Mulligan's got a saying.
He's got a lot of sayings.
It'll take a good man to beat him, but it won't take him long.
That's not one of his sayings.
It isn't it?
No, it isn't. Believe me, it isn't.
Fun stuff there by those two. Blackjack Mulligan has a saying. He has a lot of sayings. I don't doubt that. One of those sayings, it takes a good man to beat him, but it doesn't take him long. That is not his saying, Bobby. Come on. And the best part of it all is we never get that Mulligan-Ron Bass feud, so it works for me. And as we move on, Bobby Heenan still wants to know what was the flaw that Gorilla Monsoon noticed in training camp, and the Brain goes so far as to bribe the Gorilla. Listen to this.
The most prestigious event of 1987 will undoubtedly be WrestleMania 3 happening. Obviously.
How much do you want?
How much do I want for what?
I know you're holding out for something. You found something wrong, and you're waiting for me to make some big offer.
I'm not waiting for you to make any kind of offer.
Well, then why don't you tell me?
Tell you what?
You said you went to the training camp.
Yes, I did.
And you said it was more than you thought it'd be, and you said Andre was in the best shape of his career.
That was my opinion, yeah.
And you also said He impressed you more than he's ever has.
Obviously.
And you said, well, you noticed something.
Yes.
And I said, what? You said, turn around, let's watch this. I said, I want to know.
I'm not about to. You're the brain. I should have to tell you something? I'm not about to tell you.
Well, I don't work with Andre in training. I handle the business, and I have a staff of
I
people.
can't help it if you're a little bit short-handed when it comes to the actual physical part of the match.
Well, what
right
can
now,
I
we're
do
gonna
with
go
it with
to this
Andre the
very
Giant?
prestigious signing.
All right, so Bobby the Brain Heenan stooping to new lows, trying to bribe Gorilla Monsoon here into telling him what was the potential flaw you saw in Andre's training. That flaw may cost him the match at WrestleMania. Now, Bobby doesn't come right out and say that, but clearly, if he's bribing Monsoon, there's some kind of worry there. So I love these guys, continue throughout the entire show having fun with this. But we roll on with more talk involving the big main event at WrestleMania. That is, in fact, the contract signing. Let's listen to Bobby's take on a handshake deal.
You're obviously very happy now.
Of course I'm happy now. I have it documented.
You have a
In
document.
ink.
President of the World Wrestling Federation in attendance?
Yeah, but that didn't really mean nothing.
Well, that makes it even more official.
It makes it official, but I
It
still
was
don't trust
official
him.
as far as I'm concerned as soon as the Hulk said, yes, I will.
You take people by their word, don't you?
Well, yeah.
And a handshake probably be good enough for you.
Of course.
You owe me $500,000?
You know, for you, highly
See,
unlikely.
you can't trust anybody. I don't trust
I don't
anybody.
trust you. That's for sure.
I don't trust me.
I don't know of
trust
anybody
you
that
either.
trusts you, except maybe Miss Betty. But she's got plenty of her own hang-ups.
Don't worry about Miss Betty.
All right, the Brain, he doesn't trust a handshake. He wants Hogan's signature on a contract. I agree with that. Gorilla Monsoon, though, he says, why do you not trust a handshake, Brain? Bobby Heenan says, hey, you trust a handshake? Absolutely, says Gorilla. Bobby then, right away, without hesitation, well, I want to borrow $500,000. Gorilla Monsoon doesn't trust Bobby Heenan's handshake. However, Bobby's going to have to wait for that $500,000. But the conversation continues on as they talk a brand new belt being made, one that will fit the waist of Andre the Giant.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you stick your nose in and have things to do with having a new belt made?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly why. The belt they have right now was made for Hulk Hogan.
So what?
So it doesn't fit Andre the Giant.
I don't see what big deal it makes. You know, at the height of my career, I was at 440 pounds, and I was the United States heavyweight champion. I was the All-Asiatic heavyweight champion. I was a number of times co-holder to the World Tag Team Championship belts. None of those belts ever fit me. I just threw them over my shoulder. It was no big deal.
Maybe you didn't care about appearance. I care about it. Andre cares about it. He wants that belt to fit him. He wants to stand in the middle of that ring in front of 90-some thousand people. And when that belt is strapped around his waist...
He's on an ego trip, like you are.
If you don't have an ego in life, you don't have an ego in life.
Right now, we're going to go to the guy from the
place.
82nd.
All right, that was some fun stuff there. That almost felt like a real gorilla to me. Bobby Heenan having a new belt made because Andre wants to look dapper. He wants to look like the champion. He wants to have that belt around his waist. Gorilla Monsoon, he never saw the big deal about a belt fitting. Why? No belt ever fit the gorilla. He simply just threw it over his shoulder. No big deal. And just to show you these two can have a conversation about anything, let's listen to the fallout of the match involving Corporal Kirchner scoring a pinfall victory over Johnny K9 from the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Boy, the Corporal had a tough time.
Well, you know, the experience pays off. Week in and week out, Corporal Kirchner continues to get worse.
Why do you say it continues to get worse?
You saw it with me.
Yeah, I saw the match.
Boy, when I think how you're trying to sucker me in this thing, you know something. You don't know nothing.
I always know
you
something.
You don't know
about
nothing.
it. I always know
and you want
something.
me to get upset and worried. I'm not going to get upset and worried.
Great.
All right, and I should preface this match. I believe it was originally scheduled to be Kirchner versus Butch Reed. So the match gets a little time, and it does take Kirchner about, I think it's something along the lines of 11 minutes to pin Johnny K9 here. So Gorilla Monsoon says, Corporal, had a tough time there. Bobby Heenan replies, Kirchner continues to get worse rather than better. And then both guys actually have a laugh at how bad Corporal Kirchner seems to have gotten in recent months here in the WWF. Poor Kirchner. And as they've moved away from the Hulk Andre topic for at least a little bit here, they continue on with other random topics, including the new attire of the Killer Bees.
And of course, our feature, non-title matchup, the Hart Foundation, the reigning champions, against a team that I think has greatness in store for them in the Killer Bees.
You think so?
Well, I do. I think they may need a little bit of a modification
got a
on some of the
Agnew button
things that they wear in the ring, but we'll be back with all those exciting bouts.
So Gorilla clearly not a fan of the new look of the Killer Bees here, wearing these striped trunks with black ballet-looking tights underneath and those yellow, appear to be sneakers maybe wrestling shoes. I'm not really sure. They're trying new things, so I guess A for effort, D- on the look. All right, Gorilla and the Brain go on. They begin talking about the 6-man tag team match, which Adrian Adonis accidentally cut the hair of Brutus Beefcake. But that leads to Bobby and Gorilla talking about 6-man matches upcoming at WrestleMania 3.
Tag team action coming up right now. 6-man style. There's a tremendous 6-man as part of WrestleMania 3, Brain.
That's right. Bundy.
Not talking about that. That's a mixed tag. I'm talking about the one involving the tag team champions, the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis.
Yes.
That other Benedict Arnold.
The Benedict Arnold. He was canned by Jack Tunney for doing his job.
Rightly so. They're going to have to pay Tito Santana. British Bulldogs are going to give them you-know-what for. But right now, a very exciting 6-man tag coming at you, featuring the adorable one, Adrian Adonis. Let's go to the ring.
Number 1 to 3.
Adrian Adonis is indeed a dummy. A big dummy.
What can I say?
What can you say?
It's an accident.
Even if it was an accident, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Adrian Adonis, aside from the mouth of the South, Colonel Jimmy Hart, doesn't have 5 friends that he could count on his fingers, and he just lost one of them.
Well, first of all, the ring is no place to have a scissors.
Well, I agree with that.
And
with tongue-in-cheek, you said that.
No, I didn't mean
Well,
that.
we won't get into
but
that.
What I'm trying to say is, in the heat of battle, he just made a mistake.
Yeah, he sure
He's
did.
going to have to live with it.
Sooner or later, he's going to have to pay for it, because I'll tell
Don't
you,
get on me. I didn't cut his hair.
Brutus
I
is hot. I've never seen this guy bent out of shape the way he was after that
he's
match.
hot. You'd be hot, too, if somebody cut your hair.
Gorilla saying, we have a tremendous 6-man tag at WrestleMania 3. Bobby replies, yeah, Bundy and the Midgets. No, Brain, the Bulldogs match. Shout out to Fred G. Sanford out there as well, as Gorilla Monsoon refers to Adonis as a big dummy.
Look here, you big dummy.
After cutting the hair of Beefcake, we learn that Beefcake is none too pleased. In fact, he is pissed off. Beefcake wanting revenge on Adonis, hoping Piper will shave him bald. But I love the line, Gorilla Monsoon, we got a big 6-man upcoming at WrestleMania 3. Bobby, without a hesitation in the world, yeah, Bundy and the Midgets. No, Brain, come on. Bulldogs and Tito, Hart Foundation, Danny Davis, that's where it's at. And speaking of the little guys, here's a fun soundbite I slapped together. Bobby Heenan talking about some of his other matches upcoming at WrestleMania involving King Kong Bundy, Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes, and more. Listen to this.
Coming up, a match with 2 individuals in it that are very, very heavily involved in WrestleMania 3. Talking about your man King Kong Bundy and the mixed 6-man tag team match with 2 little guys.
4 little guys.
Well, Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook
Right.
on the side of Bundy, and of course Hillbilly Jim and
the Little Shaver and
Little Shaver, Little Beaver is the guy's name.
I forgot.
And the Haiti Kid.
And the Haiti Kid, yeah.
The Cocoa Butt Haiti Kid.
Right. You know, he can rear back, bash his head as hard as he can, and maybe crack the shin of Bundy.
Please, please. Let's talk about another one of your supposed stars, Hercules Hernandez, who will meet his match for sure.
Billy Jerk Haynes.
No, Billy Jack.
You know, he's got a temper. Billy Jerk, and he gets mad.
Not very often does he lose his cool.
Only when he looks in the mirror and sees what he paid for that ridiculous hat. That's when he gets
We're not going to get any sense out of this guy this week, so let's go direct to ringside. King Kong Bundy taking on
That hat had
Billy
to cost
Jack.
him at least 60.
Well, last week you did the almost identical, despicable display, interfering once again. You have something going with President Jack Tunney of the World Wrestling Federation? Started out, you and he were the only ones at the hearing. Now you don't seem to be worried whatsoever about what kind of ridiculous things that you do in and around that squared circle. No fear whatsoever of maybe being suspended.
You're not going to suspend me for the simple reason.
I can't suspend you.
No. And Jack Tunney can't, and he won't. Because he knows he's going to have to deal with the world's heavyweight champion, which will be Andre the Giant. And I manage him. So you suspend me, you don't have a champion to do business with. So I kind of got carte blanche to do what I want, Mr. Tunney. And anytime a moron like Billy Jack Haynes is going to get in that ring and try to make a fool out of any member of my family at our expense, he is going to have to pay for it one way or the other. Period.
Do you
End of
consider
conversation.
someone who has the ability to put a full Nelson on the likes of King Kong Bundy making a fool out of your man?
End of conversation.
Your man was a fool to begin with. Coming up, another fool from the stable of the Brain, Benedict.
Bobby Heenan referring to Little Beaver as a little shaver. I don't know why that made me LMAO, I wrote here in my notes. They talk about how dangerous Haiti Kid might be, his cocoa butt, Bobby fears, he could rear his head back and crack the shin of King Kong Bundy. Also talking Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes. Heenan saying that Billy Jack Haynes has quite the temper, and I have to agree with these recent promos. Every time he looks in the mirror, he sees what he paid for when he looks at that hat. Gorilla Monsoon questioning Bobby Heenan on some of his recent matches involving Billy Jack Haynes against the likes of King Kong Bundy and the King Harley Race. How has Bobby Heenan been getting away with such things without worrying about repercussions? The Brain says he's now untouchable by the WWF because he will be manager of the next WWF World Heavyweight Champion. Makes sense. And speaking of Heenan family members, where's Benedict Orndorff in all of this, asks the Gorilla.
Well, folks, about a year ago this time here in the World Wrestling Federation, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Benedict Arnold was more or less king of the hill, so to speak.
I beg your pardon, who?
I'm talking about Paul Orndorff.
Well, then talk properly about Paul Orndorff.
Well, he's Benedict Arnold in my
Maybe
book.
to
It's
you.
etched in there for
I don't
to
know
the fans out there as well.
The fans.
Where is he now?
He will be at WrestleMania 3. He will not be in the ring, but he is going to be one of the first people in my family to step into the ring and congratulate the new world's champion. That's where he'll be.
I didn't ask you that. Where is he in the World Wrestling Federation? Where is he stand in contenders?
Contenders right now, he's probably rated one of the top 5.
Because he's currently under the tutelage of you, he's in deep trouble, as a lot of the other family members of Bobby the Brain Heenan. Let's go to the ring right now and take a look at who knows Benedict.
Monsoon pointing out the glaring omission of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff on the WrestleMania 3 event. He was just main eventing, headlining with Hulk Hogan for the past half year or more. In fact, selling out the stadium, CNE Stadium up in Canada. And now he's nowhere to be found on the biggest event of all time, WrestleMania 3. Where is Paul Orndorff? Bobby Heenan says, he'll be at WrestleMania 3, all right. He'll be one of the first men to step in the ring to congratulate Andre the Giant. That didn't sound too good. Paul Orndorff will be at WrestleMania 3, but only to congratulate the new champion, Andre the Giant. So it seems like Bobby's moved past Orndorff going for the gold. You have to wonder what Mr. Wonderful thinks about that. But the show goes on even more. Soundbites, guys, I told you a ton of them here, especially on this edition of Primetime Wrestling. Bobby Heenan talks Andre the Giant's victory party. What will that be like?
You know why I want you at the party? You know why I want you at my victory party? So you can be the first one to sit there.
I like to go to parties.
Do you?
Yeah, but parties that I know are going to happen. This is not a for sure thing you're talking about.
So I mean you have 2 parties to go to. Either Hogan's or Andre's, whoever.
Okay, that's putting it a little nicer.
Okay,
yes.
fine. There's a good
The
chance.
way you're talking, it's a one-way street here. Andre the Giant's going to go out there and come back the world's heavyweight champion.
I agree with you.
Now, that's the way you're talking.
Oh.
That is indeed possible.
You're dying to say that. But you don't want to look bad to these people. You don't want them to say, Gorilla, you really want Andre to win? He does. He really does, because he likes big men.
Did you hear me say that?
But I know you, Monsoon. I know you like the back of my hand. You want Andre to become champion of the world. You've had it up to here with Hulkamania.
We'll be back with our feature.
You have. He has.
In just a moment.
She has. He has.
Kind of interesting there. Bobby Heenan says, Gorilla Monsoon, you know you've had it up to here with Hulkamania. You know you're sick of Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. We don't really get an actual response from Gorilla, but I have to feel in real life maybe they were shooting there just a little bit. Now, I'm sure their wallets appreciate Hulkamania. But the show continues on. It's more Killer Bees talk as they take on the Tag Team Champions Hart Foundation, this being a non-title match.
Big matchup in Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens. The Hart Foundation, the newly crowned, given the title of World Tag Team Champions.
I think you ought to mention to these poor misguided humanoids out here that this is a non-titled match.
Number one, people that watch primetime wrestling are not poor nor humanoids.
No, you're right.
This is a non-title matchup because this
That's what
match
I
was
said.
signed before Danny Davis saw fit to give the belts to the Hart Foundation.
What would you do without me?
Killer Bee is a golden opportunity for them to make a tremendous mark with the championship committee of the World Wrestling
Non-title
Federation.
match.
Let's go to the ring.
Sorry, humanoids.
What's going on?
All right, and as they try to throw to the match, Bobby Heenan calling the people at home poor and humanoids, Gorilla Monsoon says, hey, they wouldn't have cable TV if they were poor or humanoids. So Bobby Heenan does apologize there, kinda, in his own Bobby Heenan way. As the duo continue on, they have talk of the British Bulldogs as well as all of these celebrities coming in to WrestleMania 3, including Samantha Fox.
You know, when you think about how they won the championship, how Dynamite was on the floor injured, He did the same typical thing that all British people do. When they go into battle, he laid down, he quit.
Why don't you stop?
That's what happened. He didn't get...
He got whacked right over the head by the megaphone from the mouth of the South. Didn't you see it?
No, I must have missed that.
You know, obviously, you miss a lot of things conveniently, don't you?
No,
I'll tell you what you won't want to miss. You won't want to miss Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, as part of WrestleMania 3. You won't want to miss our special guest timekeeper, the host of Entertainment Tonight, Mary Hart, as part of WrestleMania 3. Who are some of the other folks?
Well, there is the First Lady of Soul that is going to sing America the Beautiful.
Aretha
Franklin. And Samantha Fox.
Samantha Fox.
She is going to be keeper of the crown. She's going to present the crown to the winner, either the King of Wrestling, Harley Race, or the Junkyard Dog. She has eyes for me, you know.
Yeah, she said she liked your lips. She said, take a look at the kisser on that guy. We'll be back in a moment.
All right, some interesting stuff there. We'll get to Samantha Fox in just a second, but Dynamite Kid did what all British do. He laid down and quit when it was time to fight, says Bobby the Brain Heenan there. And I absolutely love the fact that we get this brief conversation here between Gorilla and Bobby in regards to Samantha Fox and what she would have been doing at WrestleMania 3, because it proves, beyond just the Wrestling Observer newsletter, that this was a thing. This was actually going to happen. Samantha Fox was supposed to be there to crown the king at the end of the Harley Race Junkyard Dog matchup. Of course, she pulls out here within the next couple weeks and doesn't ever make it to WrestleMania. In fact, she's never even announced during any of the WrestleMania reports. It doesn't really go beyond this brief conversation here in Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. For those interested in who Samantha Fox was at the time, she was a teen pop star over in the UK, but also she had been known prior to her music career as a nude model. So think about that. All right, and we've got one final soundbite here for this episode of Primetime Wrestling. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan talking Alice Cooper.
Folks, that wraps it up for another week here on Primetime, but really things are just starting to build momentously for WrestleMania 3. We know all the matches now. We know all the events that are going down. We even know that Alice Cooper will be in the corner of Jake the Snake Roberts when he takes on the Honky Tonkin, the back jumper, the real stand-up guy.
If it's not bad enough that he has that snake in the bag, you know what Alice Cooper is famous for besides rock music? Snakes.
Well,
have 90,000 snakes in the Silver Dome too?
Well, I'm sure there'll be.
What has she got to do with professional wrestling anyway?
What do you mean she? Alice Cooper is not a she.
Well, it's a guy with a girl's name.
You're showing right now just how unintelligent you are. There are going to be a lot of strange people in corners. In the corner of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, in fact, will be George the Animal Steele.
Yeah, he's about as
a
strange
real
as they come.
thorn in the side of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Maybe a year is about as long as a guy like Savage can hold on to a belt as prestigious as the Intercontinental.
Maybe a little over 3 years is as long as another gentleman can, and I use that term very, very loosely, can hold on to another championship.
Well, it's a lot. 3 times is a long time to hold on to any kind of belt, let alone the world's heavyweight championship belt.
But I want you to realize something, everybody else. This isn't just another match. This isn't just another day in your life. This is history. History is going to be made. You're going to see the greatest athletes in the world at the greatest sports facility in the world. And you're going to see the world's heavyweight champion, Hulk Hogan, go down at the feet of Andre the Giant.
That remains to be seen. We'll see you all next week.
I've said it all.
All right, and Bobby's saying it's bad enough that Jake already has snakes, but now she will be in the corner of Roberts at WrestleMania. Gorilla has to correct him. Alice Cooper is not a she. It's a he. With a name like Alice? Bobby Heenan, will you stop? And that'll end this edition of Primetime Wrestling as we fast forward to the Superstars of Wrestling for March 7th, 1987. All right, in this episode taped back on February 16th, New Haven, Connecticut at the Civic Center, it's Vince McMahon, Jesse the Body Ventura, and the living legend Bruno Sammartino on commentary as we get rolling Mary Hart promo time. Right out of the gate, we're getting going with WrestleMania here. The celebrities are out. Mary says she's ready for something new. And I wrote here, well, at least she's not pretending. What I mean by that is Mary is openly saying in a lot of these promos that she doesn't know a whole lot about wrestling, but she's interested in trying something new. She's interested in being involved, and she seems genuinely interested in being part of this event. So kudos to Mary Hart for that. And it's fun that we kick the show off right away with the celebrities. We're already talking WrestleMania, and we're only seconds into the episode, but we head to the ring. It's so nice of you to join us here. Junkyard Dog taking on the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. As the Dog begins to dominate the match, Doherty goes to the head, but obviously to no avail. Nobody ever accused Doherty of being the smartest wrestler ever. Ventura then on commentary politely points out that the Dog has, quote-unquote, bulked up. He's at the biggest he's ever seen him. Kind way for Ventura to point out that the Dog has been putting on a little more weight as of late. The Duke finally manages to get JYD down on his back, and what does he do as an offensive maneuver? He stands on his dick. Yes, the Duke of Dorchester standing on the crotch of the Junkyard Dog here, and it would appear that JYD has not one but two hard heads as he kind of no-sells the situation, and the thump power slam ends this thing 2 minutes and 16 seconds, and we get a little juking between the JYD and some of the kids around ringside following the match. As we move on to Update with Mean Gene Okerlund, we go back and talk about the Honky Tonk Man bashing his guitar over the head of Jake the Snake Roberts. That match now, the 12th and final match added to WrestleMania 3. And as we've already learned, Alice Cooper now also in the corner of the Snake Man. We get a promo from Jake the Snake Roberts and Alice Cooper here to end this edition of Update as they promise revenge on the Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart at the big pay-per-view. And before we go back to action, we're reminded of last week's situation in which Adrian Adonis accidentally cut the hair of Brutus Beefcake. Vince McMahon hears that Brutus has revenge on his mind. But it's back to ringside now with a couple of other members of Johnny V's stable. It's Axe and Smash of Demolition taking on the team of Tommy Sharp and Mike Luca. But get this, guys, Demolition now have entrance music. We gotta listen.
Johnny V's has a hard time, I think, maintaining order. Johnny V's ready to step to the ring now with Demolition.
To be led towards the ring by their manager, Johnny V, at a total combined weight of 584 pounds. Here is Demolition.
Demolition, my goodness. You know, you think Johnny V's walking with confidence with those two guys right behind him? Yeah, I would say that Johnny V, he could just about smart off to anybody in the world, I think. As long as he has Demolition at his side, no question about it. Look at these two guys, Axe and Smash. They are awesome. And I'll tell you, they're just as awesome when they're in the ring, putting a hurt on someone as they are the way they look stepping into the ring. Demolition, Johnny V, with the Demolition Axe and Smash, as he calls them.
Absolutely awesome. Demolition now rocking that heavy metal type entrance music. The words aren't there yet. It's just the instrumental version, but even the instrumental version just sounded so badass. And as the match gets going, remember we saw that clip of Adonis cutting the hair of Brutus? Well, we get an insert promo here from Johnny V, who talks about the situation between his dream team and Adrian Adonis. Johnny V says that his entire stable listens to him, especially the Dream Team. Especially the Dream Team? It seemed unnecessary to say. It's almost like there's a storyline developing here. But back to the match, it's Demolition in control. Demolish and destroy. Poor Luca has no clue and no chance here in this one. Smash lines up with a catapult on Luca into a clothesline from Axe. Not very good timing, not very good looking, but Demolition use it to score the win here in 1 minute and 44 seconds. And with the post-Randy Colley version of Demolition, I felt like they were trying to go for their own identity here. And since the Demolition decapitation were sometimes a move that the Moondogs used, I would have to imagine they kind of borrowed that from the Moondogs when they became Demolition. And I feel like maybe Axe and Smash, the new Smash, Barry Darsow, were trying their own stuff here, trying something new, really not working out. As the timing involved here, really hard to make this move look good, especially on the weekly. So glad they'll be going back to that decapitation move sooner rather than later. As we go on, it's promo time. As we listen to the new Tag Team Champion Hart Foundation, they're talking about their upcoming big match against Tito Santana and the British Bulldogs at WrestleMania 3. I apologize in advance for the quality of the audio here on this particular promo, but I enjoyed it so much, I wanted to play it anyway. Take a listen.
All right, fans, next Sunday at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, WrestleMania 3. These three men to meet the British Bulldogs plus Tito Santana, Bret Hart.
Well, you know what I like to I like to look at this thing. It's like we've got a Porsche and we got a tank, and now we've got Danny Davis. Danny Davis is the real weapon of the Hart Party. We've got two Bulldogs and a Chihuahua. You know, this thing is going to be a real slaughter. Slaughterhouse 4 right here. Right here. Bow! Wow! Have you ever heard a Mexican dog bark? Those little sick chihuahuas that hang around the corners with their greasy taco stands are. That's the only food they can get on the thing.
All right, so we know the British in this match are bulldogs, but then they talk about Mexican dogs, like maybe a Chihuahua? Tito Santana not being talked about highly here by the Hart Foundation, and then Jim Neidhart with the greasy taco stands line as well. Again, I do apologize for the quality of that specific promo, but I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to include it here for those who appreciate those type of things. As we go on, though, it's another promo from Mary Hart, this time with Bob Uecker by her side. Uecker stating that he bought Mary Hart a fur coat for WrestleMania 3 since it might be chilly outside up in Detroit in the month of March, but Mary reminds Uecker, Bob, the event, it's indoors. Oh, Ueck. As we head back to the ring for our next match, we see a fan posing at ringside next to Suzette, the lovely featherette. As we go back to the ring, it is Terry Gibbs awaiting his opponent, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and what an ovation here for the Dragon, one of the most over faces in the company right now, that's for sure. And as the match gets going, an insert promo from the Macho Man, and Miss Elizabeth Savage says he's not concerned at all with George Steele in the corner of Ricky Steamboat. In fact, he calls the animal a non-factor, ha! As the match gets going, it's Terry Gibbs on top, working a headlock on Steamboat, but Steamer comes right back, working over the arm of Terry Gibbs. Gibbs finally trying to gain momentum, grabs the Dragon by his hair and pitches him over the top rope. But the Dragon grabs hold of the top rope and skins the cat back inside. Terry Gibbs, though, waiting for him, staying on top, unbelievable. Gibbs goes out of the norm and climbs to the top rope himself. Doesn't look too comfortable up there, and Gibbs jumps off into a waiting Steamboat, who sends him down to the mat, and then it's the Dragon with a pair of drop kicks before he goes to the top himself. Flying crossbody ends this thing. Ricky Steamboat picking up a win, 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Show goes on. It's Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with Bob Uecker. They talk the midget match, if you will, and Uecker admits that the Haiti Kid is cool, but then we get this line.
He said the real
Haiti Kid. Yeah.
The Haiti Kid. Yeah. That's the guy. I'm looking forward to seeing that match, but I love that little Beaver.
I got the impression. You know him personally?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, very good.
Bob Uecker loves that little Beaver. Dear God. Mean Gene then asking Uecker, do you know him? That little Beaver, that is. Uecker replies, not yet. Jesus, how did this make air? Unbelievable. Mean Gene has met his match with the Dirty Pervs here. Bob Uecker, king of the quips, much like Bobby Heenan. Bob Uecker was really cut out for this business. I wish he had done more in professional wrestling. Bob Uecker loves that little Beaver. As the show goes on, we get another promo. This time it's the ace cowboy Bob Orton and the magnificent Morocco.
Absolutely dynamite. They're calling it the biggest wrestling extravaganza of all time, WrestleMania 3. Bob Orton, cowboy, come on in if you would from Kansas City, Missouri, along with partner from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, Don Morocco. This relatively new tag team combination. Certainly veterans of the World Wrestling Federation, but new as a tag team combination to meet Rick Martel and Tom Zink, the Can-Am connection in WrestleMania 3, Bob.
Yes, sir, and I'll tell you, we're ready for the opportunity. We've been working together now for some months, getting to know each other, getting to know each other's moves. Things are running smooth, man, like a well-oiled machine. Don Morocco and I are ready to take on the world, so to speak, and being a part of this great event makes me feel good, makes Don feel good, and it makes me feel proud just to have Don Morocco as my partner.
Don Morocco, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to you for quite some time. Welcome back.
It's my pleasure, Mean Gene. But just for a minute, just for a second, try and imagine two men like yourself, two institutions in WrestleMania, two men who have shined through WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2. Imagine now that at the twilight of your, at the beginning of your career, the Can-Am connection, two young fellas, Rick Martel and Tom Zink, have the opportunity in the extravaganza of 1987 of facing two experienced wrestling pros that have always made a living as individual wrestlers and now have finally got it together as a tag team. Can-Am Connection, they are excited. But so are you, Mean Gene. And so is WrestleMania 3.
It will be exciting. I thank you, gentlemen. Bob Orton, Don Morocco, get ready. Sunday afternoon, March the 29th from the Silverdome.
All right, Orton and Morocco say they're ready to take on the world. And it continues at WrestleMania 3 when they look to down the Can-Am Connection. As we head off to a Hacksaw Jim Duggan vignette. Ho! Duggan rocking his pickup truck here. He said he's heard all about the Russians and people in limos. I don't really know what those have to do with each other. He says, but his pickup truck is another side of America. His pickup truck is apparently what he calls real America. Makes Duggan a real American, no? Wonder if Hulk Hogan has something to say about that. So Jim Duggan, not a fan of fast cars and limousines, just give him a pickup truck. And he says the Ruskies are going down. Tough guy. Ho! Hacksaw Jim Duggan on his way to the WWF. And perfect timing here. What placement on the show for this vignette of Duggan as we head off to the ring? It's the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with Slick in their corner taking on the team of Special Delivery Jones and Brad Rangans. All right, and Sheiky Baby and Rangans starting things off, both men former AWA trainers and legit shooters on the wrestling mat. But before the action begins, we get an insert promo from the Killer Bees, who say they're going to show these foreigners the Killer Bee way, whatever that might be. Blair then closes with this reminder of why they don't get much promo time. Brian Blair says,
"That's right, exactly, Jimmy. You know, when we step into the largest beehive in the world in Pontiac, Michigan, things are going to get real warm and all the killer bees out there are going to start to swarm." All right.
Things will be warm and the bees will swarm. And for the very first time in my life, I actually wrote the letters SMH because I could do nothing but shake my head at this one. Things will be warm and the bees will swarm at WrestleMania 3. All right. Back to the action. Remember Sheik and Rangans in the ring. Basic but good stuff between the two. But then Nikolai Volkov tags in and that's all over with. Rangans, though, somersaults under a Nikolai clothesline attempt and tags in SD Jones. Jones takes it to both heels briefly, but misses a corner charge. And Volkov comes back with a backbreaker before tagging in the Iron Sheik. And the Kama Clutch. Yahala. Iron Sheik gets the submission win. And I should point out that Sheiky was already in the ring when Nikolai came over to tag him in. But that medicine is hell of a drug, Baba. Iron Sheik Nikolai Volkov getting the win there, 3 minutes and 4 seconds with the Kama Clutch. Sheiky and Volkov on their way to WrestleMania to take on those bees. And we're on our way to Piper's Pit and his special guest this week, 7'4", 500+ pound Andre the Giant. Roddy Piper looks to interview Andre one-on-one, but an uninvited Bobby the Brain Heenan joins in and alerts the Hot Rod that if you want to speak to Andre, you speak to him through the brain. Heenan goes on to run down both Piper and Hogan for using Andre all these years, when out of nowhere comes Captain Lou Albano. Holy shit! Haven't seen him here in 1987. Lou Albano making a rare cameo. Lou immediately bypasses Bobby Heenan and goes up to Andre. Why would you align yourself with this scum, Bobby the Brain Heenan? Albano then tells Andre that you have let down your fans and disgraced your family. Strong words from the captain. Lou then tells the Giant that he hopes Hogan whips his butt at WrestleMania 3. Andre then chases Albano off the set, then stares disgustingly at the fans as Roddy Piper tells him the Giant will have hell to pay to get to that WWF title. And Andre's mannerisms, ever since he's done the heel turn, really good stuff here. It's not like he's doing a whole lot, but just the face he's making. We've already heard Gorilla Monsoon say that nobody can get through to Andre. It's like he's in a trance, and that's kind of how he's portraying himself here. Almost in a zombie-like state. Andre the Giant doesn't want to hear anybody. He doesn't care what they have to say. He doesn't care what they think. He's only listening to Bobby Heenan. He's getting his opportunity for the title match that he's always wanted at WrestleMania. Andre the Giant completely focused on that WWF title. As we go on, it's time for the WrestleMania 3 report as we get a replay of the entire contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, followed by a promo advertising Aretha Franklin standing alongside Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart says, hey, perhaps a duet with the Honky Tonk Man and Aretha Franklin. Franklin having none of that. And yet another Bob Uecker promo, and hey, I'm not complaining. WrestleMania 3, bigger, better, badder. And back to the ring, WWF Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, accompanied by Jimmy Hart and Danny Davis, taking on the team of Jim Powers and Jerry Allen. We get an insert promo from Danny Davis. Davis stating that Tito Santana won't compare to him at WrestleMania, and the Hart Foundation have a surprise for the Bulldogs. Interesting. In the ring, we see an assisted slingshot splash by Jim Neidhart into the ring onto Jerry Allen. Hey, that's the Can-Am's finisher, but it's the Heart Attack that gets the win here in 1 minute and 47 seconds. Post-match, Danny Davis comes in and disposes of both job guys. Talk about insult to injury. As I have yet another promo lined up for you here, this time it's Hulk Hogan. Yes, he's headed to WrestleMania, and he has a special message for the fans of New York.
All right, next weekend at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, the biggest single sporting event indoors of all time. Hulk Hogan, come on in. Title defense, Andre the Giant, and your coveted title will be at stake.
You know, I'm glad New York City. I'm glad all you people are so smart, man. I'm really happy that you opened up the Felt Forum, brother, because I was worried about all those Hulkamaniacs that wouldn't be able to get in Madison Square Garden. 93,000 plus in Pontiac, Michigan. Millions upon millions of Hulkamaniacs. Closed circuit pay-per-view around the world are going to witness the fury of Hulkamania going after Andre the Giant. 7'4", 550 pounds. You're going to go down big time. Big time.
The title defense of all title defenses in WrestleMania 3.
The Hulkster glad that they've opened that Felt Forum so that even more Hulkamaniacs can attend the viewing of WrestleMania 3 there. Andre the Giant, in just a few weeks' time, it's going to go down. As we conclude this episode of Superstars, we're off to Wrestling Challenge for March 8th. All right, this was taped back February 17th, Springfield, Massachusetts at the Civic Center. It's Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary. And straight to the ring, the Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel and Tom Zink taking on the team of Jimmy Jack Funk and the Gladiator, as always, Rick Hunter under a hood here. As the match gets going, we had an insert promo from Don Morocco, Bob Orton, Mr. Fuji. They want to let the Can-Ams know that superplexes and pile drivers win matches. Aggressiveness and deviousness win matches, not being pretty boys. Back to the ring for action. The Can-Am's real solid here this week, using quick tags and fancy double teaming for the time. But the heels eventually take over on Tom Zink, with Jimmy Jack Funk dropping him across the top rope and a hot shot. From there, the Funker delivers a shoulder breaker on Zink, which gets a 2 count. And after a lengthy heel control segment here, the Z-Man comes back. One-footed drop kicks on both men simultaneously, sending both Funk and the Gladiator down. And finally, Zink getting that hot tag out to Rick Martel, who comes in a house of fire, whipping the Gladiator into Jimmy Jack Funk, and then the Gladiator turning around into a backbreaker from Martel. And this week it's Tom Zink delivering the slingshot splash to get the win in 5 minutes and 3 seconds. A little lengthy for a squash match, but the Can-Ams kept things more lively than, say, the Bees or the Rougeos here. So no big complaints, at least from me anyway. As we move on, though, Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with Bob Uecker. This is really fun when as Bob Uecker talks about the old days of professional wrestling. He talks about going to the Rendezvous Ballroom in Milwaukee when he was a kid. Uecker claims that his parents used to wash the Crusher and the Bruiser's gear. Actually calls them by their real names. He said Dick the Bruiser Afflis and referred to Crusher as Reggie Lasowski. Story seemed true enough. Not really sure who, you can never tell with Bob Uecker here, but Mean Gene and Bob together, they just have tons of fun. It's fun watching them. It's fun listening to them. Really good stuff here as Bob Uecker continues to amuse me into WrestleMania. We go back in time once more. We see Adrian Adonis cut the hair of Brutus Beefcake. This time, we get a reply from Brutus Beefcake and his thoughts on the entire situation.
Adonis, you fat, slimy slob! How dare you touch a hair on Beefcake's head? How dare you touch me? A mistake. Io Piper makes a cue ball out of you in WrestleMania 3.
A prediction, possibly a cue ball being made out of the adorable one.
Beaver says, Adonis, you fat, slimy slob, how dare you? He hopes Piper makes a cue ball out of Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3. And after this promo, even Ray Charles could have seen the babyface turn coming for Brutus Beefcake. And speaking of Adonis, it's like they purposely do these things. In the ring, Don Driggers awaits his opponent, the adorable Adrian Adonis, managed by Jimmy Hart here. Should also point out referee Rita Marie, still here at the World Wrestling Federation, as she's the official for this one. Adonis misses a running charge in the corner to start the match, and Driggers drop kicks him down. But Driggers, going to the well once too many times, tries a second drop kick, which Adonis swats away. From there, Adrian just mauls Driggers both in and out of the ring, even sending him into the timekeeper's table at one point. During the match, we get an insert promo from Roddy Piper. He says, "Hair today? Gone tomorrow." Roddy Piper teasing the hair versus hair match these two men will have at WrestleMania, and it's Good Night Irene as Adrian Adonis puts Driggers away with the sleeper hold, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Adonis picks up the win here, and he can still go, and he's a hell of a bumping machine, but he's just so big, so out of shape, but man, what a worker was Adrian Adonis his whole entire career. And it's promo time again, and we've been missing this. Mean Gene standing by with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
All right, fans, with WrestleMania 3 coming to the world on Sunday afternoon, March the 29th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. A phenomenal card, 12 great matches, each and every one of them. Absolutely, I guarantee you, a main event. From six-man tag team action to a heavyweight title defense for Hulk Hogan, challenger Andre the Giant, to an intercontinental title defense. Macho Man Randy Savage to defend against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. In Steamboat's corner will be George the Animal Steele in the corner of the champion. His manager, of course, Elizabeth. And I think, Randy Savage, at the risk of sounding negative, I don't want to irritate you, but I think you're concealing right now some reservations, some concern about your title defense in WrestleMania. You know why? You don't come out here with Elizabeth anymore. Something's going on in your mind.
Are you going to just talk right on through? I mean, I'm only the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion standing before you, getting ready to shine into the Silverdome. And what reservations would I have? Yeah, possibly being negative. No way possible. Yeah, because be realistic, Mean Gene Oakley. Who's going to beat me? Yeah, who's going to beat me? Who's better than the world's greatest athlete? The Dragon Ricky Steamboat cannot handle what I got. And the animal on the outside is no factor. Yeah, your red tie. Yeah, your red tie.
You know what folks are saying?
Your red tie doesn't give you the right to attack the champion.
You know what folks are saying, though, Randy?
Wait a minute. I want to ask you something. What are folks saying about the Macho Man, Randy Savage?
They're saying that possibly on this occasion, the Macho Man might beat himself.
Might beat myself? What do you mean? Be more specific, man. That's a general type thing.
People think that you're concerned with George the Animal Steele on the outside, your manager Elizabeth on the outside. You won't be focusing your full attentions on Ricky Steamboat.
Well, let me clear the air with you and your red tie type of thing. I'm going to have one eye on the animal on the outside and the other eye on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And realistically speaking, I can beat them both blindfolded, yeah. So in the Silverdome, yeah, WrestleMania 3 is the place to be. And it's going to be my night. My night. My night.
All right, that is Sunday.
Silverdome.
Sunday afternoon, March the 29th at 4 p.m. Don't you dare miss it.
All right, Gene began rambling on there early on. Macho asking Mean Gene, "Are you going to talk straight on through?" Macho Man calling Mean Gene out for putting himself over. Okerlund wasting the promo time of the Macho Man. And once again, he reiterates going into WrestleMania 3, Animal Steele on the outside. Non-factor, aha. And back to the ring, Tito Santana taking on Barry O. Let's go back in time. We see the clip of Tito Santana slamming the Doctor of Style Slick, upsetting his protege, the Natural Butch Reed. We also get an insert promo during this match from Danny Davis, who blames both the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana on his firing as an official for the World Wrestling Federation. Davis vows to get revenge at WrestleMania on Tito Santana. Back to the match, Tito controls early on with drop kicks and the Santana basics, as I call it, i.e. side headlocks. But Barry takes over and backdrops Santana over the top rope and onto the floor on the outside. Wow. Tito trying to climb back into the ring up on the apron, but Barry O knocks him back off the apron, back to the floor again. As Santana sells on the outside, we see a bunch of cops flying over the guardrail into the crowd and chasing after somebody in the crowd, which catches the fans' attention. So many missed this As Slick runs out to ringside behind referee Joey Morella's back, the Slickster blasting Santana with his cane. As the referee lays in on his 10 count, Tito Santana fights his way back up onto the apron, Barry O slamming him back inside for a 2 count. O then looks to put Santana away, whipping him off the ropes, but Tito ducks under and rebounds off the ropes. Flying forearm! Out of nowhere, Tito Santana gets the win, 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Arriba! Tito, still with support from the fans, even though they haven't done much with Santana. Over the last year here in the WWF, Santana still has his backers out there, the fans, showing their love. Santana picking up the win over Barry Orton here this week. As standing by, we get another promo, Mean Gene Okerlund along with Mary Hart. Mary Hart trying to interview Gene, but they do a comedy bit here where every time she asks a question, she never allows Mean Gene to actually answer said question. So these stars continue to have fun on their way to WrestleMania. And maybe we'll have a little fun here as we listen to this promo from the mighty Hercules.
Hercules, managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan. Hercules, you're going to be going against Billy Jack Haynes. Haynes has said publicly now that if you don't break his neck, he's going to come after you and try everything he can to give you the full Nelson.
You know, Billy Jack Haynes knows what it is to be a great warrior, a great fighter. But Billy Jack Haynes, you don't know what it is to be a great hunter. Now, to be a hunter, you have to have the cunning of the wild, just like all the wild animals have it, and they all know what I'm talking about. You can start to see that Billy Jack Haynes is getting a little bit scared. He's getting a little bit shaky. You know, when he's out here hollering and screaming, telling everybody that he's going to break my neck. I think he's got it the other way around. He's a little bit scared. Billy Jack Haynes, you know where I sit. High atop Mount Olympus with the right hand of Zeus. And I look out, I am the ruler of all I survey. Billy Jack Haynes, I'm the man that can break these chains. I'm the man that made Thor about my feet. Billy Jack Haynes, this time in WrestleMania, I'm going to put the full Nelson on you, and I'm not going to let go. No mercy, Billy Jack Haynes.
What a collision that one's going to be. Hercules and Billy Jack in WrestleMania 3.
Herc saying that Haynes, a great warrior, but not a hunter. Hercules says he sits high atop Olympus, along with Zeus. Billy Jack has been saying that he's going to break the neck of Hercules. That's true, the babyface promising to break the neck of the heel. But Hercules says, no, my friend, it's going to be the other way around. If anybody's going to have their neck broken, it's going to be Billy Jack Haynes. At this point, both guys vowing to break the other one's neck heading into WrestleMania. Does it get more violent than that? As we get another Hacksaw Jim Duggan vignette. This time he's driving a forklift. Duggan once again stating, it's not about limos and jet airplanes. It's about hard work and dirty hands, tough guy. Duggan, the everyman's man, headed to the World Wrestling Federation. And back to the ring, it's Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter, accompanied by the Wizard and Kim Chi, taking on Jerry Monty here. As we get an insert promo from Aretha Franklin during the Kamala match. What an odd placing. Aretha says that Kamala is too big to fit on the freeway of love. All right, Aretha. Back to the action. We talked about the bad knees of King Curtis, the Wizard here, and he's missed some dates as of late because of the travel and the wear and the tear on his knees, but it's never been more obvious than right here in this match, Kamala and Jerry Monty. Go back and check this out. Poor Wizard rolls into the ring and never leaves his knees in the pre-match ritual. Your manager usually accompanies you to the ring. He climbs into the ring with you. He has some last-minute advice for you. The Wizard does that here. He rolls into the ring, but never gets off his knees. He's talking to Kamala from his knees in the ring. And then, of course, rolling back outside, landing on his feet on the floor. So the Wizard clearly having some serious issues with his knees at this point. And, of course, we learn King Curtis done here with the WWF before the end of March because of those issues. To the action itself, Kamala busting out the thrust kick, then the big splash, but he's not done yet. No. Top rope splash by Kamala finishes Monty off in just 1 minute and 2 seconds. And at this point, it appears they've abandoned the whole banning Kamala's top rope splash angle and the stretcher jobs that came along with it here, because Kamala just puts Monty away, and no real hard sell for Kamala moving forward. And after working with Hulk Hogan on the house shows in the main events recently, it really sticks out that there's no direction for someone as high up as Kamala has just recently been. And yet again, much like Paul Orndorff, no match for WrestleMania 3. So congratulations, guys. You're working the house shows against the Hulkster, but when it comes time to get the big payoff at WrestleMania 3, nowhere to be found on the card. And in Kamala's case, just too bad Jim Duggan didn't arrive a little bit earlier, because I think we could have got that match on WrestleMania 3. Would have been fun. And it's time for Jake Roberts in the Snake Pit this week. His guests, Hillbilly Jim, Little Beaver, and the Haiti Kid. Before he brings them out, Jake has some choice words for the Stinky Greaseball, Honky Tonk Man, to start things off here. And as Roberts invites his guest into his snake pit, the little guys, they're afraid to come onto the set because of Damien slithering around in front of Jake the Snake. But Roberts assures them, don't worry guys, Damien's been fed. During this quick one, Jake the Snake repeatedly warns Hillbilly Jim that King Kong Bundy is going to try something with the midgets here. And that's when Hillbilly Jim once again promises to protect his little buddies from King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania. And I'm telling you guys, as much as Hillbilly Jim assures these guys between now and the pay-per-view that they won't be touched by Bundy, this Hillbilly Jim dude cannot be trusted. From there, we get a replay of the WrestleMania 3 report from Superstars, and then back to the ring. It's the Honky Tonk Man, Jimmy Hart, in his corner, taking on David Stoudemire, as we get an insert promo from Jimmy Hart, who questions just how tough a man can be by the name of Alice. Well, Jimmy, you're fixing to find out. And over on commentary, we get more of the same from Bobby Heenan, who does some more mocking of Cooper's first name being Alice. Boy, this wouldn't get over too well. In today's world, and even back then, not really all that clever. But in the ring, the Honky Tonk Man beating down Stoudemire, even taking him outside for a backbreaker on the floor. Then back inside, it's the sit-out clothesline before the shake, rattle, and roll neckbreaker gets the win, 2 minutes and 46 seconds, as it's yet another win for the Honky Tonk Man. All right, we're going to close out this edition of Wrestling Challenge. One more promo for you. This time it's Billy Jack Haynes talking about the full Nelson in his match with Hercules at WrestleMania 3.
Billy Jack Haynes. We talk about the biggest wrestling extravaganza of all time. A total of 12 matches, as you know by now. Of course, Jake the Snake Roberts signed to meet the Honky Tonk Man. That's the very last match as part of WrestleMania 3. But you've got enough to worry about yourself. And the likes of Hercules, this strong man from Tampa, Florida, managed by Bobby Heenan, who's got a big day in store for him.
This is the greatest professional athletic event in the country and the world ever, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, Gene. I also realize that Hercules is a tough, strong kid. He does bench press over 500 pounds. He has Bobby the Brain Heenan, but Hercules, for 5 years, I have been master of the full Nelson. It's a submission hold, and every time I've had an opponent submit, I have never intentionally tried to hurt that opponent, and I release it and let the man go, and I get my hand raised, all right? Now, I realize that you've tried to mimic me and copy me with the full Nelson, all for your 500-pound bench press and Bobby Heenan, and how you humiliated me on national, international TV, okay? Well, that's right to the point. I know you're tough, so let's get right down to it. In WrestleMania 3, March 29th in the Pontiac Silverdome, in front of 95,000 people live, and in front of millions and millions and millions of people on closed-circuit television, we're going to see who the master of the full Nelson is. And, Gene, when he puts it on me, you better make sure you got me all the way down and hear my neck broke. So help me to God up above. If I put the full Nelson on you, I'm going to lay in the middle of the ring with your neck broke 100%.
Wow, you talk about intensity. Hercules to meet Billy Jack Haynes, part of WrestleMania 3 from the Silverdome. Wow.
All right, and Billy Jack, for 5 years, the master of the full Nelson. And he's never tried to hurt anyone with it until now. Wait a minute, you never tried to hurt anyone with it? Just make them submit, which would mean that they're in pain. Maybe he means he never tried to maim anyone with it. Well, until now, Haynes promising to lay Hercules down with his neck broken. 100%. Geez, some serious anger issues here, Billy Jack. All right, and now that we're 1 week into the month of March, heading into WrestleMania. I think we're entering the calm before the storm now. Not much else you can do with the big matches in regards to building them up. A little more attention to some of the mid-card matches, however, which I think is absolutely great. And now we just sit back for a month's worth of master class promoting from the WWF as we head into WrestleMania, and we move on to Primetime Wrestling for March 9th, and once again hosted by Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan. More sound bites coming your way here, that I promise you. We learn that the Brain has changed the phone number of Andre the Giant.
I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm your host, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Primetime Wrestling, where we feature the superstars of the World Wrestling Federation. And, of course, this week, no exception, a tremendous lineup. Our feature,
King
Kong Condominium Bundy. With legs.
King Kong Bundy, my man.
King Kong Bundy against a very unusual and unique individual in one Jake the Snake Roberts.
And Damien.
Right. You're not afraid of snakes,
No,
right?
of course. Why would I be afraid of snakes?
Weasels are afraid of snakes.
Maybe weasels are, but I'm not.
You know, and mongooses and all those.
I'm not a mongoose either.
Other strange things. We have
because you go around thinking
some other outstanding matches. The Natural, Butch Reed taking on Tito Santana.
And Salvatore Bellomo, the Italian stallion.
Please. Paul Roma, the opposition for him. And our first look at Outback Jack. Finally made it across the pond from what? The Outback, I guess.
I don't know. I guess he had a rough trip coming over.
I'll tell you what, this guy stands about 6'5" or 6", close to that 300-pound mark. He's going to make some waves here.
He's a big man. He's impressed a lot of people. He's got nice dentures, I know.
Yeah, nice dentures. Incidentally, I have a bone to pick with you, as I usually do. I've been trying to reach Andre by phone here the past week and a half, and obviously you've changed all the numbers.
That's right. You're not going to speak to Andre? Nobody's going to
Well, that remains to be seen, Brain. You know, I can do some other things. I can go in some other directions. The Gorilla knows a number of directions in which to go.
Well, you saw the security there.
Yeah, I saw the security. Right now, we're going to go to Madison Square Garden as we take a look at Outback Jack and Barry O. Let's go to the ring.
All right, Gorilla Monsoon has been trying to reach Andre. He can't reach him. Bobby says that's because I changed his number. Nobody will ever be in contact with Andre the Giant again unless they go through me. Then we learned this week's matchups, Jake the Snake Roberts against King Kong Bundy, Butch Reed and Tito Santana. Hey, it's the battle of the undercard Italian stallions as Paul Roma and Salvatore Bellomo, and Outback Jack on the card. Bobby Heenan says, nice dentures, both of them. And speaking of Outback Jack, our next soundbite takes us to the old Outback. As he picks up a win over Barry O, let's listen to what Gorilla Monsoon had to say about this.
Outback Jack nailed him with two boomerangs, one in the front and one in the back, and literally put away a Barry O.
Here is your winner, Outback Jack.
The boomerang. We're going to be seeing a lot of that, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid so, too.
You're afraid because some of your men are going to be the recipients.
I doubt that very much. I doubt if Outback...
Why, you don't think that Outback Jack has the capabilities of climbing in the ring with anybody in your stable, family?
He can climb in the ring with anybody. It's just a matter of staying. As long as there's steps, that poor dummy can get in the ring, but he won't be able to stay with anybody that I'm in.
Do you think that the King could get this guy up in the cradle suplex?
4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times?
Sure.
This guy's over 300 pounds.
Doesn't matter.
Providing he should survive WrestleMania, I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean the embarrassment of having to kneel and bow in front of the Junkyard Dog? It's not going to happen. Doesn't happen like that.
That remains to be seen, Brain. I don't know. Junkyard Dog has really been out of shape and really looking forward to March 29th.
Well, I'm looking forward to March 29th also.
Well, I'm sure you are. It's a golden opportunity for you.
I'm going to be managing the world's heavyweight champion. I'm going to be watching.
All right, and Outback scoring the win with the old boomerang from behind. Gorilla Monsoon says we're going to be seeing a lot of that, I'm afraid. I don't know if that was a Freudian slip or not, but Gorilla Monsoon even says, I'm afraid we're going to be seeing a lot more of this Outback Jack character in the weeks to come. That says a lot from your babyface announcer. Unfortunately, Jack won't make it to WrestleMania, but one man that will is the next subject of Primetime Wrestling. I'm talking about the Birdman, Koko B. Ware.
Talk about exciting guys. Koko B. Ware came to me the other night in the locker room, Bobby, and said how elated he was to be a part of this prestigious event, WrestleMania 3.
Does he want you to co-sign for him on the used cars?
No. He's just thrilled. He's a young, excited individual. He knows the kind of competition that he's in there with, and the natural Butch Reed. He knows it's going to be a battle right to the end. But here's a guy that he doesn't care. All he's happy about is that he's going to be a part.
He's lucky I don't ever get my hands on that birdie being a bag of shake and bake.
Let's go to Coco as he takes on Sika.
All right, Gorilla saying Coco just happy to be on WrestleMania 3. Again, not doing a great job putting things over. Hey, Coco deserves it. He wants to be there. He's just happy to be there. He doesn't care what he's doing or who he's wrestling. It's not exactly the way to look at things. Gorilla calls Coco a nice guy. Bobby Heenan says, a nice guy? What does he want you to do? Co-sign a car for him? Before all is said and done, Bobby Heenan sees Frankie the Bird in a bag of shake and bake. And we get all of that heading into a match between Koko B. Ware and Sika, the Wild Samoan. Koko actually picks up the win here over Sika. We come back with more conversation from Gorilla and the Brain.
Koko had his hands full with Sika, but he used the smarts. He used the little gray matter upstairs that the youngsters sometimes don't have. But he didn't look like a winner at the end, but he won the match. Sika was really bent out of shape.
You know how to get a hold of Koko B. Ware?
How to get a hold of him?
Yes.
You mean by phone?
Or just get in touch with him.
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk to him for me. He owes me $15.
For what?
Cleaning bill. That bird did something over my pants there on the floor. I was sitting there that night.
Too bad.
Talk about take care of it.
WrestleMania 3, 12 tremendous matches lined up, one of which has just unbelievable consequences involved. We're talking about the Intercontinental Championship Belt on the line. The corner of the Dragon will be my good friend and your nemesis, George the Animal Steele.
Why is that man allowed in the corner? He has no credentials to be a manager. Or a second, or a first, or a third.
Who said he was a manager or a second?
Well, what's he doing in the corner?
We'll find out more about it.
You start to ask me a question.
All right, Bobby Heenan was ringside for that matchup between Koko and Sika. He says that Ware owes him $15 for a cleaning bill. Apparently, Frankie shit all over Heenan's pants during the match, he would imply here. Fun stuff there. The duo also talking about that upcoming Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. George Steele in the corner of the Dragon. Bobby Heenan quipping, George Steele has no business being a second, or a first, or a third. Good stuff there from the Brain. As we stay on topic with the big IC title match at WrestleMania 3, it's time for a promo from the Dragon.
All right, thank you, Gorilla, and come on in, Ricky, Bobby, come on in. Yes, coming up, WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, on Sunday afternoon, March the 29th, with a 4 p.m. start Eastern Time. Ricky Steamboat, you're going to be going against Macho Man Randy Savage, and right now around the country, there's so much speculation about this match.
Well, you know something, me and Gene, it all started way back last year when he put me out of wrestling for 7 weeks and 3 days. And I've had a few matches with this man since making my comeback, and it's no great big secret that I've been disqualified. I've lost my temper, I've lost my cool, thrown the match out of the window, thrown the referee around, and there's been times in those matches in which I felt that I could have pinned this man, but I had him down, I was choking him, and I wanted to make him suffer. I wanted to make him pay. Well, it comes a time when everybody has to realize that my chances for this championship are going to start running out on me. And March the 29th is a big day. You're going to have 90,000 strong right there at the stadium. Millions of viewers around the world are going to be watching. And I know the promoters are giving me about as much chance as anybody else, and my time's coming up.
Well, I'll tell you one man that is giving you a big chance, and that is George the Animal Steele, who is going to be in your corner. And, of course, remember now that Miss Elizabeth, manager for the Macho Man, will be in his corner also. But I think George is going to be a great source of inspiration for you.
You know something, me and Gene, you hit it right on the head of the nail, because the first time in my wrestling career, I've got somebody sitting in my corner, rooting me on the only way the Animal can do so, urging me on to win that championship. He's had his run-ins with Macho Man Randy Savage. Savage, take it as you may be, brother, because it may be a swerve, it may not. The Animal is no way of controlling this man, but I've told you, I've given you my word that I'm going to try and hold him down and not have any distraction. This is the only thing that I can say right up until now, and we'll meet on March the 29th.
All right, it's called WrestleMania 3. It's at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. By all means, don't miss it.
Ricky Steamboat seems elated. He finally has someone in his corner to combat the Macho Man Randy Savage, because you know all those shady, dirty tactics that Miss Elizabeth's been doing around ringside. Nevertheless, George Steele will stand ground in the corner of Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania to make sure no shady shenanigans should happen. And up next, the duo talks the upcoming Adrian Adonis Roddy Piper hair match, as well as the recent situation with Adonis cutting the hair of Brutus Beefcake
against the Hulk. But I'll tell you another match is of great interest to me, and that is the final appearance of Roddy Piper his final match with Adrian Adonis, the adorable one, and whoever loses is going to get their head shaved right bald in the center of the ring. And Adrian really has got himself all wrapped up in this thing. He's even got his own henchman, the Mouth of the South, carrying around all those barber equipment tools of his.
I think he's trying to send a message out to Piper that his head's going to be shaved. I hope Piper's got enough money for bail.
Well,
he's going to get arrested walking around Detroit with a plaid miniskirt and a bald head.
Please.
I'm telling you.
You know, recently in a six-man tag team matchup, that was evident because, in fact, there was some hair cutting that went on. Unfortunately, it went on to one of Adrian's own partners.
Well, he wanted to cut the Can-Am's here.
Yeah, I know that, but it didn't exactly work out that way. Let's go to the
accident.
footage and show you exactly what happened.
Just a legitimate mistake.
Yeah, legitimate mistake. Adrian's
he didn't mean to cut Beefcake's
never
hair.
been accused of being the smartest guy in the world, but he doesn't have that many friends, you know. In fact, the number he has, you could count on one hand, and I'm sure have a few fingers left over. Brutus has really been out of shape over this.
Well, I mean,
wouldn't you be?
I'm the kind of a guy that would see a man's mistake and say, pal, you made a mistake. Let bygones be bygones.
Oh, yeah, you're the big forgiving
And then
type,
I'd take
right?
an oily 2x4 that's guaranteed not to chip, splinter, or bend and part his hair with it.
I'm sure you would.
But that's just the way I handle
Adonis
business.
now has a number of enemies that he really doesn't particularly care to have. And believe me when I tell you, Brudi is really bent out of shape. Let's go to a piece of footage. I'll show you how.
Heenan referring to the haircut on Brutai as a legitimate mistake, but Gorilla reminds him that Brutus is not happy. Bobby says he'd forgive a mistake, and then he'd take an oily 2x4 and part his head with it. I wrote, LOL, good stuff here from Bobby the Brain Heenan, but when is it not? And speaking of Brutus, more talk of Brutus Barber Beefcake, as well as Andre the Giant.
Oh, he said he hopes Piper makes a cue ball out of him. I love it.
That haircut, you know what it looks like? It's like Runway 9 at O'Hare.
Brudi is a pretty good-looking guy. He always has been, but with that particular type haircut didn't do anything for him whatsoever. Absolutely
No, it doesn't
not.
do nothing for anybody. Imagine Piper with no hair.
Regardless of what happens in WrestleMania 3 with Roddy's final match, I'm sure that we haven't seen or heard the last of the confrontation between Adrian and
And I'd like to
Brudi.
ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned last week you were impressed with Andre.
At the camp, yes.
And then you mentioned there was something you saw that just wasn't right, a flaw.
Yeah, a couple things, yes.
A couple things now. Are you going to tell me?
Well, sure. I intend to tell you those things exactly.
Okay. Turn your dial up. Tell me now.
Oh, you want me to tell you right now?
Yes, tell me right now. What did you find at the camp?
Well, I found that, number one, the food left a lot to be desired.
What was left of it?
Okay. There were so many things laying around that were idiosyncrasy things and ego trips for you. What I saw in Andre the Giant that left a lot to be desired, I'll tell you that after WrestleMania is over.
No, wait a minute. Just a minute.
Exactly.
You have to tell me that before WrestleMania
Stay with
starts.
us, wrestling fans.
You just
Plenty
can't
more
tell me you're going to
action
tell
still
me
to come
the day
in the
after
nature
WrestleMania.
of
That's not going
Tito
to help me out the
Santana.
day after WrestleMania.
Okay, so they touch a little more on the Beefcake Adonis situation. Brudi, of course, hoping that Piper makes the cue ball out of Adrian Adonis. Gorilla promising we haven't heard the last of these two, Adonis and Brutus Beefcake. Little foreshadowing there. They also revisit the discussion of Andre's training camp. Gorilla says something wasn't right. There was a flaw in Andre the Giant out there when he was training, which leads Bobby to once again beg Gorilla Monsoon to tell him what was the flaw? What is the flaw that you saw during his training? Gorilla says, well, I'll tell you, Bobby, after WrestleMania 3. And up next, Bobby Heenan coming off a phone call with his personal secretary, Miss Betty.
Who's that? Is that Miss Betty?
Yes, it's Miss Betty.
Is she iron? She got some strange ironing habits, I heard, from the Gorilla Vine.
I don't know what you heard about her ironing habits. Don't worry about that.
What are you checking on? Now?
I'm trying to find out if there's anything missing at the camp.
There definitely is something missing, but you would know it because there were so many of them laying around.
She's not on the phone. She's
I
out.
have it right here, but I'm going to give it back to you because I don't want it. Do you have a clue what it is?
No, what is it?
One of these. They're all over the place out there, and all different.
Where'd you get that?
Colored little jackets and little sequented things.
You know, I don't come out here week after week to be embarrassed and insulted like that.
Well,
I don't have hundreds of those laying around out there.
Missing from your collection? I'm sure it is.
I don't have a collection of those things.
Well,
they're weasels. I don't have nothing to do with weasels.
Well, there it is. It came right out.
I want to collect a World Championship belt. That's what I want to collect. I don't have. Now you're going to make the people think I got 300 or 400 of these stuffed animals laying around there,
well,
like some moron.
299 because I took the 300 one.
All right, some sort of an inside joke here is Gorilla and Bobby talking about Miss Betty having bad ironing habits. I didn't even know what it meant, and I still LOL'd at it. Just the way these two were having fun with it made me laugh. And all episode long, Gorilla talked about taking something with him when he left the training camp. He essentially stole something from the training camp. These idiosyncrasies he was talking about laying around the campsite. Gorilla finally shows Bobby what he took. It winds up being a stuffed weasel in a Bobby Heenan-style sequin jacket. Gorilla claiming there were hundreds of those laying around the campsite. A bunch of little weasel dolls. Weasel. I'm not Lee Marshall. I can't do it like Lee Marshall, but weasel dolls. And that'll be your 1-800-COLLECT moment on the grenade this week. As we move on, we head off to the Garden in a match involving Tito Santana and Butch Reed. It winds up being a double disqualification. And even though it was Slick who interfered first, Koko Beware out to aid Tito Santana as well. The referee ruling this a double DQ. Gorilla doesn't think so. Koko came out way later. This should have been a DQ win for Tito Santana. Let's listen first, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Wasn't crazy about that decision at all. Referee turned around. There was a Slickster standing in the center of the ring. What's he doing there? He doesn't belong there. He was about to clobber Tito with a cane.
Well,
that's an automatic disqualification right there.
If
Koko came in after the fact. Should not have been a double disqualification.
Well, let's put it the way it should be.
Koko's got to be really feeling. He got slammed by Santana. Now he caught a Sunday right in the kisser from Koko. Slick, I'm saying, yes. What did I say?
I said Koko.
Oh.
So that's why I'm the host.
Oh,
I'm here to help you out all the time.
Absolutely. You're going to need help in WrestleMania.
Yeah, to carry that new gold belt back to the dressing room.
Let me explain something to you, Brain.
All right, so Gorilla arguing there. Slick interfered way before Koko Beware made the save, so this should not be a double DQ. Gorilla then talks about Koko getting roughed up by Tito. Heenan corrects him. It was Slick getting roughed up by Tito Santana here. The Brain says that Gorilla Monsoon needs the help. So Bobby Heenan correcting Gorilla here. He says that's why he's here, because Monsoon needs the help. Gorilla shoots back that Bobby needs help too. And without missing a beat, the Brain replies, yeah, I need help carrying that big belt back at WrestleMania. Again, another big pop from me here. Bobby Heenan catching Gorilla Monsoon. In a flub of his words, Gorilla says, thank you for correcting me, Bobby. Bobby says, absolutely, that's why I'm here, because you need the help. Gorilla says, well, you're going to need help too. Yeah, carrying that big belt back at WrestleMania. Good stuff. And as the show goes on, Gorilla discusses with Heenan why he thinks that Andre the Giant, the challenger, is at a major disadvantage heading into the pay-per-view.
I got a surprise for you, Brain.
Well, you made up another stupid-looking doll?
No, there's enough weasels out there now. There's two of them. You'll need all the weasel help you can get because, under normal conditions, under normal circumstances, Andre is at a disadvantage in WrestleMania 3.
Oh, explain to me.
I will explain to you. Under normal circumstances, you can win the World's Heavyweight Championship in two different manners. One, you can make your opponent submit. The title will change hands. Or a 1-2-3 count. Your opponent will be counted out, and the title will change hands.
That's correct.
Andre only has one avenue to go. He has to pin the Hulk. Because under no way, shape, or form will Hulk Hogan ever submit inside the squared circle.
Well, see, that's where you're thinking is going to backfire on everything else. You see, we have a way to make him submit.
Highly unlikely, folks, that
You'd be
will
there the 29th.
ever happen. We'll be back with a Honky Tonk Man in just a moment.
All right, and Gorilla explains there that typically a man has two ways to win a title, pinfall or submission. But Andre is at a disadvantage walking to this one. He's going to have to pin the Hulkster because Hulk Hogan will never submit. Interesting look at things there by Gorilla Monsoon. And we heard a lot of this last week. It continues this week. Bobby Heenan still wanting to know what was that flaw that Gorilla Monsoon found in Andre the Giant's training. Let's listen to Monsoon string the Brain on just a little bit more.
Did you notice at the signing, the contract signing?
Yeah, I noticed.
Did you notice how confident myself was and the way Andre handled things? But across that table, there was your world's champion, soaking wet in sweat.
You didn't have a whole lot to say at the signing. I thought that Andre doesn't speak anymore. You do all the speaking.
He said what he wanted to say. You know, as Hulk Hogan was pouring down with sweat, he was the one that was shaking. It's over. Hey, he had 3 good years. He had a good run. So what?
Good run. Give me a break, Heenan.
Now you're going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you.
And it never gets old with those two. As we go on, it's Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with Mr. Baseball, Mr. Belvedere star, Bob Uecker.
Right now, we got a special interview coming up with the man who's going to be the special ring announcer, Mr. Baseball himself.
Mr. Basketball.
No, Mr. Baseball.
You failed at both of them, probably.
Along with Mean Gene. Let's go to the interview.
All right, thank you, Gorilla Monsoon, and of course you know his sidekick, Bobby Heenan. He says
one of my all-time favorites.
He's one of your favorites.
You got that right, buddy.
You better
I
watch
like
the
Bobby
company
Heenan.
you keep.
Well, I like Bobby Heenan. You know, I don't care what he does. Inside the ring, what he does with his job. I think the guy's a nice human being. I go way back with that guy.
I don't know. Let's go back. The last time that we talked, Bob, we talked about you reminiscing about your childhood and how great professional wrestling was for you as a young lad growing up and your father's involvement.
Well, I can remember my dad, Gene, taking me to wrestling matches in Milwaukee. We had a great place there, the Rendezvous Ballroom. I don't know if you remember that place.
How could you forget?
Well, that was one of the all-time great wrestling arenas in the country. My dad used to take me there, I can remember, as a youngster, 1, 2 years old. We had the parking concessions there. My father did. I didn't drive then. I was too young to drive.
What do you mean the parking concessions? $2 a car?
$2 a car, and then we never brought the cars back. Nobody knew that we had the parking concessions. We just used to hang around.
You guys had to make out on that deal.
Well, it's really amazing. People come along. Everybody wants to get in the arena, right? They say, you take care of the car? Sure, why not?
Hey, I had a brother.
Away. We used to drive a new car every day. It was unbelievable.
I had a brother who did the same thing, made big money at it. Matter of fact, about a quarter of an inch too big. He's doing time now, but that's another story.
Well, my dad's gone. He's not doing time, but we have a mutual friend in wrestling, my dad and I. As I said, he had a funny thing he used to do all the time. He'd never take me home from the arena. You know, I was only 1 or 2 years old. I was always grabbing somebody. I was always in somebody else's car.
That had to be the first clue.
I hated that. They tried moving on me a couple times. Always found where they lived. We had a guy. Who was one of my favorites?
Who was the mutual friend that you had?
The Great Zucchini. You remember this guy?
The Great Zucchini.
They used to fire him out of a cannon. At the wrestling matches, they had a net set up way on the other side of the ring. They'd fire this guy out of the cannon. One night they missed. He blew out the whole wall of the Rendezvous Ballroom, went across North Avenue, ended up in a parking lot over there. They turned it into a fast food restaurant, and that's the last they ever saw of the Great Zucchini.
Well, he's lucky.
You got it, Zucchini?
Yeah, I got it.
I just made that up.
You're lucky your dad didn't park him. Would have been an extra $2 in another body, right?
I love being with you.
You're great. I thank you. Mr. Baseball Bob.
Don't worry about it.
All right, and that soundbite, not really wrestling related, but Uecker always having fun, always had the gift of gab and comedy, obviously. Him and Mean Gene are great together. I had to include this here on this episode of The Grenade. And we close out this episode of Primetime Wrestling. One more soundbite during the outro of the show, more training camp talk, as Bobby Heenan once again invites Gorilla Monsoon back to the camp of Andre the Giant.
It's indeed feature time. Go ahead.
You're going to tell us now.
I was just going to introduce our feature match.
King Kong Bundy and Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, tell us what you saw that was wrong.
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I would like to get one more invitation to the poker. Am I supposed to say where?
No, you're not supposed to say anything.
I'd like to get one more invitation to the campsite.
And then you'll come clean.
I will.
You will give your word.
Let's go to the ring.
You got the invitation.
Thank you. I can't wait to get back to the camp. Take another look.
Are you going to give me your honest opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you not going to disclose where it is to anybody? I got your word on that.
I won't. You won't object to this, I hope, Brain.
I probably will.
Well, if you do, then the whole return trip to the camp is off. But I would like to bring my own camera crew with me. If you.
No.
Well, then you'll just have to get along without my expertise, then. If that's the way you feel.
What do you want to film?
Well, I just want to make sure that I have clear in my own mind what I'm seeing, and by looking at it on tape over and over again, I can get a better feel for that.
You cannot play this on any station, though.
All right, I'll agree to that.
I'll agree to you to have a camera, though.
Oh, okay, that's great. So that folks,
you're up to something. I don't like the sound of this. First of all, you go there and you steal. I
guarantee you, I won't shoot any of the shots of the number of weasels running all over the property.
There's no weasels on my property.
We'll be back next week with Primetime
There's some little muskrats and stuff. I have a couple dogs out there.
All right, Monsoon had implied he thought he noticed some issues in Andre's training. Bobby Heenan inviting Monsoon back to take a second look to spot that flaw that Gorilla Monsoon was talking about prior. And Gorilla Monsoon will return, well, sort of return, to the training camp, and we'll see footage. Actually, the footage already up on our YouTube account over at youtube.com/Wrestling Grenade. It's fun time. You can see Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan wander around the forest, Gorilla leaving a trail of bananas. A gorilla knows his own bananas. You'll get the joke if you watch the video. However, Gorilla Monsoon will return, or attempt to return, back to the training site of Andre the Giant, along with Bobby the Brain Heenan. And we'll talk about that more on next week's edition of Primetime Wrestling, which is also on next week's edition of The Grenade. We roll on to the March 14th edition, Superstars of Wrestling, taped back February 16th, New Haven, Connecticut at the Civic Center. And it's Saturday night's main event weekend. It's Saturday, guys. Superstars tonight, Saturday night's main event. We talked about it 2 episodes ago, the big battle royal. Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan involved. Randy Savage versus George the Animal Steele. Miss Elizabeth on the line as a prize. Aha! The Hart Foundation experiencing their first time defending their tag team titles against Tito Santana and Dan Spivey, the Lousy Hyenas, and so much more. You guys can go back to a couple March Project episodes ago. I believe episode number 69 of The Grenade. We talked all about Saturday night's main event in detail, in length. Great episode. Go back, check it out. Episode 69 of The Memory Grenade. It may not be the showdown at the OK Corral, but it was the WWF versus WCW, Raw versus Nitro, the Monday Night War, the Ratings War, the NWO, the Attitude Era. While everyone discusses who won the war, it's truly the battles within the war that made this weekly episodic rivalry so exciting. We break it all down, from episode reviews to backstage news to those ever-important TV ratings. It's Monday Warfare, the battles within, exclusively as part of the WrestleCopia brand, available on WrestleCopia.com and all of your favorite podcast streaming apps. Welcome back, and all right, it's Vince McMahon, Jesse the Body Ventura, Bruno Sammartino on commentary as we head to the ring for the Killer Bees, slated to take on the team of Iron Mike Sharp and Tiger Chung Lee. The Bees wearing those yellow sneakers and those black ballet-like tights under their striped trunks. I'll say it again, looks absolutely goofy. Even Jesse Ventura here on commentary mocking it, says it looks like ballet tights, so he agrees with me. Thank you, Jesse. And if I had to break it down any further, honestly, if you guys go and look at the outfits the Bees were wearing during this short period of time, it looks more like something a kid would wear to an elementary school pageant than a wrestling gear. As the match gets going, we get an insert promo from the Doctor of Style Slick, the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov. They say they're going to make honey out of the Bees at WrestleMania 3. I don't think it works like that, Slick. Now, had they waited a few months and said they're going to make glue out of Young Stallions, that might have worked. So the similarities between this match and the match at WrestleMania, it's the Killer Bees' speed versus the power of their opponents in Sharp and Chung Lee, but that's pretty much where the similarities end between Chung Lee and Sharp and Volkov and the Sheik. Bees start off with the basics here, working the arm of Tiger Chung Lee, but the heels get Brunzell in their corner for some double teaming, even causing a distraction, forcing the referee to miss a tag from Brunzell to Brian Blair, keeping Brunzell in the ring though. However, Chung Lee holding Brunzell up as Iron Mike Sharp comes off the ropes, but Brunzell out of the way, ducks Iron Mike, and Sharp nails Chung Lee instead. Finally, Brunzell makes the tag out to B. Brian Blair, and almost immediately it's the butt, the bee sting, sends Iron Mike Sharp out of the ring. Tag back to Jim Brunzell as Brian Blair whips Tiger Chung Lee into the Brunzell dropkick. This one goes 4 minutes and 47 seconds. The Bees pick up the win in another entirely too long Bees squash. But we're not done yet with those Killer Bees, because here's Mean Gene standing by with a Killer Bees promo, but have no fear, on the other side, it's back-to-back promos following the Bees. Stay tuned for the Macho Man Randy Savage.
As part of the biggest wrestling extravaganza of all time, the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov are going to be meeting these gentlemen, the Killer Bees, B. Brian Blair, and you, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell.
That's right, Gene. This is Brian and mine's biggest match in the WWF, and hopefully we'll be able to make the best of this opportunity against Sheik and Volkov.
What about a beeper, B. Brian Blair?
Well, you know, Mean Gene, I'm so excited. I've got so much energy right now, and you know I haven't even eaten my honey yet. But come Sunday, March 29th, Brunzy and I are going to stroll on down to Hazel's Honey Hut, and we're going to get us a quart of Orange Blossom Special. We're going to split it on up, drink it on down, and then Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, they're going down because, you know, the nastiest thought I can think of, you know, it's kind of like losing your honey and she steals all your money. I mean, just that gut feeling, you know, when I hear Nikolai Volkov up there singing that Russian national anthem, excuse me, I'm getting so excited. Sheik and Volkov are going down, Mean Gene.
I thank you very much.
And I know you're making the scene, and you're always looking clean, too, there, Mean Gene.
All right.
Keep it up, Danny.
I thank you, B. Brian Blair. By the way, Aretha Franklin, Bob Uecker, Mary Hart from Entertainment Tonight, Alice Cooper, All those great superstars plus World Wrestling Federation stars on hand for the great one. Come on in. Intercontinental Champion Macho Man Randy Savage. Title defense in WrestleMania 3. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. George the Animal Steele. Randy in his corner.
You trying to intimidate me, huh?
No,
you trying to scare me before the big one? Yeah, before the one that really matters? Yeah, I'm talking being close to the time that 90,000 plus people are in the Silver Dome and millions of people all around the world. No, not to me. Not to the Macho Man Randy Savage. The dragon will burn.
I certainly didn't want to give Mr. Savage the impression that I was trying to verbally intimidate him. However, I will say it's going to be his most crucial title defense to date when Ricky the Dragon Steamboat challenges him as part of WrestleMania 3 from the Silverdome on March 29th.
All right, and boy, Brian Blair taking being a bee very seriously, at least when it comes to honey. We've heard him talk about hives and honey and wings flapping in the past.
Jimmy and I ate so much honey today that I am so excited. I got so much energy. Mean Gene, my toes started tapping and my wings started flapping.
Talk about getting into your character. Take notes, Terry Taylor. It works so well for the Killer Bees. And of course, the Macho Man promo, always a fun time. Wasn't going to let that go by the wayside. As we continue on with Superstars, here's an update with Mean Gene Okerlund. This week, he talks the tail of the tape. In the upcoming main event match, WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. No surprise, the challenger, Andre, does have Hogan beat out in most measurements in his body. Andre much taller, Andre much heavier, but there's one particular area where Hogan beats the Giant out, and that's in the arms, brother. Hulk Hogan's 24-inch pythons compared to Andre's measly 21-inch arms. All right. And that was the tail of the tape. We'll hear more of that at WrestleMania 3, but right now we're back to the ring. King Harley Race, Bobby Heenan in his corner, taking on Don Driggers, as we see a lovely, gorgeous featherette standing ringside for this one. Short blonde-haired beauty, not sure her name. I always wondered, how come Suzette was the only featherette that got a name? What did she have in her contract that the rest of the featherettes didn't? And before the match starts, Bobby Heenan demanding the fans to get out of their seats and bow to the king of professional wrestling, as we get an insert promo from Bob Uecker, who is pumped for WrestleMania 3. Back to the match, though. Race and Driggers crisscross leads to Don Driggers connecting with a dropkick on the king. But Driggers to the well once too many times, misses a second dropkick, and it's takeover time for the King Harley Race here, as we cut backstage to the Junkyard Dog standing by, watching Race on a monitor backstage. Dog looks disgusted at Harley Race on the offense, says he's seen enough, and the next time he sees the King will be at WrestleMania 3. JYD walks away from the monitor, disgusted at the antics of the King, and back to ringside, we see the patented Harley Race knee drop before the cradle suplex, no bridge, gets the win for the King, 1 minute and 43 seconds. So it started off as a pretty hot top feud for WrestleMania between the Dog and Harley Race, has really hit a wall here. Nothing to really further the story since early January, and that's probably somewhat to do with Dog no-showing left and right here. Undependable is the Dog at this point, and we'll talk more about that and the ramifications of that when we get to our WrestleMania 3 definitive edition of the Grenade in just a couple weeks' time. As for now, it's back to another interview. Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with the Can-Am Connection.
One of the great matches is part of WrestleMania 3. 12 great matches in all, by the way. Pits the Can-Am Connection against the newly formed team of singles veterans Don Morocco and Cowboy Bob Orton. The Can-Am Connection, Tom Zink, and of course you, Ricky Martel.
Well, countdown has started for the Can-Am Connection. We're getting ready March 29th. I mean, this is the opportunity we've been waiting for. And believe me, we're going to be ready. Orton, Morocco, what a great tag team. No matter if you don't like the way they walk, the way they talk, but when the match starts, you know, they're one of the best team in the world. And we're going to show what we can do, right, Thomas?
That's right, Rick.
Yeah.
Mr. Fuji, you said what you're going to do to us, what your men are going to do to us. Well, believe me, we're going to keep an eye on you. You want to stick your nose in the ring, we're going to be ready for you.
You know, there's an old saying about Mr. Fuji. Watch the cane.
Mean Gene warning the Can-Ams to watch the cane of Mr. Fuji at WrestleMania when they take on Morocco and Orton. Before we head off to yet another promo, this time it's Slick and his man, the Natural Butch Reed, standing by. Reed says when he's done with Coco Beware at WrestleMania, he's going to be plucked feathers. As Reed sprinkles feathers down from his hand, he says he's going to make Frankie a la soup. I don't think that's the proper line, but I get the gist of it, Butch. So WWF giving these guys, the Can-Ams, Butch Reed, time to at least acknowledge their matches, even if it's 10 seconds like Reed got here. They're getting time to make something out of their matches coming up at the big pay-per-view. One noticeable fault in this promo, other than Reed's delivery, with Slick clearly towering over Butch Reed. A good look to be a foot taller. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but Slick far taller than his protege Butch Reed here. I think I would have made this less obvious. Maybe have Slick crouch down a little bit, have Butch Reed stand on a pallet or what have you. They've done it many times in the past, just didn't seem to care about it here. But Slickster and Butch Reed have words for the Birdman, Koko B. Ware. And speaking of Koko, we head to the ring for our next match. It's Barry O taking on Koko B. Ware. And we won't be seeing Barry entirely too much longer here in 1987, and for good reason. More on that in the post-WrestleMania edition of The Grenade when we talk April 1987 news here in the WWF Project. But for now, it is Koko B. Ware taking on Barry O, the brother of Cowboy Bob Orton, as Jesse Ventura with more buckwheat talk. We get here from the body, and hey, we have a Rosati sisters sighting in the crowd. They're doing the bird. Those Rosatis love to have fun. We also see an insert promo here from Tito Santana, who's currently feuding with Slick and Butch Reed. Tito has advice for the Birdman. He says, watch out for Slick on the outside while wrestling the Natural at WrestleMania, and please leave a little bit of Butch Reed for Tito Santana. Arriba! Then back to the action. Barry O sends Koko B. Ware out to the floor, but Ware back up on the apron, blocks a turnbuckle smash from the outside and climbs to the top rope. Missile drop kick. And a not-so-pretty Ghostbuster. Koko B. Ware with a quick win here, 1 minute and 41 seconds. And we just saw a couple weeks ago, Koko B. Ware got Iron Mike Sharp, 300 pounds of Mike Sharp up just fine in a really nice-looking brainbuster. So I'm going to give this on Barry O's fault for making this a sloppy spot. Nevertheless, the Birdman picks up a win as he perches Frankie on the top rope and lightly begins to shake the rope, forcing Frankie to flap his wings. Not cool, Koko. PETA coming for you, brother. So we get an entire segment spent on building up the Koko B. Ware and Butch Reed match. We hear from Tito Santana, who's also feuding with Slick and Butch Reed as well, and I ain't mad at that. Everything matters, at least a little bit, headed into WrestleMania, and a great plug there for that matchup. As we go off to yet another bumper promo, Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with Aretha Franklin. They talk Jimmy Hart, who Aretha Franklin refers to as a one-hit wonder. Keep on dancing, Jimmy. Just a quick bumper here, guys. Franklin clearly fed the lines of what to say. She probably doesn't know what she's talking about, but at least she's participating. And it's promos galore here. We continue on. Once again, this time we're going to listen to this one. Soundbite, Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with WWF Champion Hulk Hogan. You know what's on his mind. It's Andre the Giant.
We are counting down to WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Of course, on Sunday afternoon, March the 29th, heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan. I cannot believe that the pressure is not starting to get to you. A title defense against your former friend, now bitter enemy, Andre the Giant. In his corner, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and you know what people are saying all around the world.
I don't care what the people are saying around the world, man. I want to live forever, brother. You know, I'm not worried spiritually about this thing. I got my travel arrangements made. I got the deal upstairs already done, but it's mortally, brother. Andre the Giant is the only reason I can't live forever, man. I've seen the little Hulkamaniacs. They're trained in the prayers of vitamins. They're going to live forever. Hulkamania is going to live forever. And if Andre the Giant physically destroyed me, physically wiped me out, physically took the belt, maybe the little Hulksters wouldn't believe that you gotta play it straight, that you gotta keep your head high, man. Andre the Giant, Hulkamania will live forever. And in front of 93,000 people, brother, with the whole world watching on closed-circuit TV, you will feel the power of the largest arms in the world. You will feel the wrath of the Hulkamaniacs, Andre the Giant. And if I get you down in a compromising position, there will be no mercy, brother. I'm gonna think about the time when you tore my shirt, when you ripped the cross, when you tore the heart and the souls out of all those little Hulksters, brother. And if nothing else happens, man, if nothing else happens, I'll get you for that.
All right, the heavyweight champion of the world with perhaps his biggest test ever.
All right, Hulk Hogan wants to live forever, brother. And Hulkamania itself will indeed live forever, but mortally, Hogan worries about himself. Wait, I thought Hulk Hogan was immortal. Never mind. Hogan says that Andre is the only reason that he can't live forever. That is until Hogan takes him down at WrestleMania 3, brother. So is that the definitive point where Hulk Hogan becomes immortal when he defeats Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3? We'll have to wait and see. As we get another fun promo from Bob Uecker here, standing by his lonesome to begin things, Bob claims that he's a good friend of Andre the Giant. Why, he met Andre years ago in Europe. In fact, they're best friends. Enter Andre the Giant, stage right even. Andre putting his arm around Bob Uecker, surprising him, making a fist with his free hand into the face of Uecker. Bob with some comical response interaction here with Andre the Giant. Uecker so good with everyone, and I love his segments with Andre here, and especially at WrestleMania 4. Hey, would you mind getting your foot off my shoulder? Oh, chokes him. Love that GIF, love that video, love that promo. Hopefully we cover that here someday on The Grenade. Show goes on with the mighty Hercules, formerly Hernandez, Bobby Heenan in his corner, taking on Mario Mancini. And we get an insert promo here from the shouting, raging Billy Jack Haynes. He says both men are in the best shape of their lives, and we'll see who the master of the full Nelson really is at WrestleMania. Jesse Ventura on commentary points out how violent Billy Jack sounds, and no kidding, Jesse. Jeez. This one's an easy match for the Herc. Gets the win with the full Nelson, 1 minute and 19 seconds. Really digging the intensity here of Hercules in recent months. Getting a push since coming under the tutelage of Bobby the Brain Heenan, working Hogan on a fall Saturday Night's Main Event, winning the Battle Royal here in the March 87 Saturday Night's Main Event, staying relevant, and the fun feud with Billy Jack Haynes. As for Mario Mancini, his opponent, living proof that anyone can have a wrestling podcast and believe their own shit. George Scott would have pushed you. He was there for 2 years with you. Get real. As we're off to another edition of Roddy Piper's Pit, guest this week, WWF Champion Hulk Hogan. But before he brings the Hulkster out, Roddy wants to remind everyone, in 2 weeks' time, it's WrestleMania. No retreat and no surrender, says the Hot Rod. In this match with Adrian Adonis, and out comes the WWF Champion, Hulk Hogan, with an intense stare at Roddy Piper. Hogan teasing possibly some dissension with the Hot Rod? No. The Hulkster begins to talk up Roddy Piper. Yeah, because he knows you're leaving in 2 weeks. Hogan says that Roddy Piper ain't going to let no fat boy put him to sleep. Come on, Hogan, be a star. Poor Adrian. We get mutual admiration here. Piper puts over Hogan, too. Says he knows that they'd have to bury Hulk 6 feet under to get the belt off of him. That's a shoot, brother. From there, Hogan begins to talk about the doubters, brother. Hogan doesn't know if he can slam the big, nasty, stinky, rotten giant, dude. But he's gonna try no matter what. Hulk says that Andre tore the heart and soul out of the little Hulksters when he tore the shirt and crucifix off of Hogan's body, and for that, Andre will pay. Hulk and Piper stare each other down once more, shake hands, and leave the pit side by side, the crowd eating it up all the way. Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan with a handshake, seemingly burying the hatchet once and for all, or at least until WCW, to end the segment. As we're off to yet another WrestleMania 3 report, we hear from Bob Uecker standing by with Jimmy Hart. They talk the upcoming hair match between Adonis and Roddy Piper. We also hear from Mary Hart, who's standing by with Andre the Giant, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Mary calls Bobby a weasel. Not quite as good as Lee Marshall did it, but hey, who can? Andre looks down at Mary Hart after that and says,
"You talk too much."
So these two celebrities in particular, Bob Uecker, Mary Hart, have been such pros with this, doing whatever's asked for them by the WWF. So some more short but fun promos from both Uecker and Mary Hart here, mixing with the talent. This time, the heel Jimmy Hart as well as Andre and Bobby Heenan. From there, we get some promos. It's promo time, guys. Talking WrestleMania 3. First, we're off to Billy Jack Haynes. Of course, he's talking Hercules.
WrestleMania 3, Hercules. We are going to see who the master of the full Nelson is. No more ifs, no more ands, no more buts. I'm in the best shape of my professional wrestling career, 5 years. 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, running stairs, wrist curls. This full Nelson is ready, Hercules. You signed a dotted line, punk. There's no more running. WrestleMania 3 will decide who is the master of the full Nelson, baby.
All right, Haynes been doing some wrist curls, preparing himself for the full Nelson here at WrestleMania. Hercules beware. More action coming up at the big pay-per-view. Includes the Rougeau brothers taking on the Dream Team. They're accompanied by Dino Bravo.
Boy, what a stroke of luck for the Dream Team. Now, finally, we're going to get a fair shake and a fair share of WrestleMania 3 because we got the man right here, the man of the hour, the Canadian champion. I'm talking about Dino Bravo in our corner, the Dream Team's corner.
Beefcake, Greg, let me tell you something. I want to be there. I want to show they don't pull any tricks on you. And I want to be there when you beat those guys in WrestleMania 3.
All right, Greg the Hammer Valentine, they're putting over Bravo as their secret weapon. It's not a secret if you tell everybody. But Dino Bravo, the secret weapon of the Dream Team here, the crown jewel, if you will, baby. And last but not least, one more promo here in the WrestleMania report this week. 6-man tag team action upcoming at WrestleMania, featuring Tito Santana and the Bulldogs taking on the trio of the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis.
You know, Jimmy, Hitman, and the newest member of the foundation, Danny Davis, I can understand the Bulldogs being a little upset. But what's with the Burrito brother, Santana? What's his problem?
What's his beef, Jimmy? He wants to make a beef with the foundation? Wrong beef to make, pal. Wrong beef.
That's right, the foundation, the greatest team in professional wrestling, the Hitman, the Anvil, and Danny Davis.
So the Harts, they know what the Bulldogs' problem is, but they want to know what's going on with Burrito Brother Santana here and why he's sticking his nose into their business. As we're back to the ring, Intercontinental Champion Macho Man Randy Savage, Miss Elizabeth in his corner, taking on Stevie Aoki. And as the Macho Man enters the ring, you can notice Savage getting more and more over lately, and the crowd noise in this particular match proves it. Even the announcers have to acknowledge it, though Vince McMahon claims that the cheering is for Elizabeth, which is partially true, I'm sure, but just loud pops here for the Macho Man, who is completely a heel still at this point. Before the match gets going, we get an insert promo by Elizabeth talking about George Steele being in the corner of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania. She says, George is a nice man. He has kind eyes and a nice smile. He'd never do anything to actually hurt Elizabeth. What? Macho Man hears this off camera and goes ballistic. Savage rushes into the promo, startling Miss Elizabeth, and tells her to get out of here. He doesn't want to hear it. Miss Elizabeth putting over the kindness of George the Animal Steele. Always fun seeing what Randy Savage will come up with next. But it's back to the ring for action. Stevie Aoki with a quick crossbody right out of the gate for a 2 count and drop kicks the Macho Man out of the ring. But then back inside, Savage tries a turnbuckle smash on Stevie Aoki, who no-sells it, because, hard head Samoan and all. Headbutt Savage down to the mat. You see, even jobber Samoans have hard heads. Aoki with a big body slam, but Macho with his knees up on a pump splash in the corner. Aoki going for that Vader bomb, landing on the knees of the Macho Man. And it's time to take over for the Intercontinental Champion. Macho nailing a sit-out clothesline before tossing Aoki out to the floor. From there, it's a running high knee into the back of Aoki as he stumbles face first into the guardrail. Ooh, that didn't look too pretty. Then back inside, Macho Man slamming Aoki in place for the patented flying elbow as the Intercontinental Champion Randy Savage picks up the win, 1 minute and 36 seconds. In post-match, Miss Elizabeth tries to climb in the ring. Savage points for her to get down off the apron and get to the back. I wrote, LOL, what a heel here. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Definitely primed and ready for WrestleMania at this point. And another man primed and ready. We heard earlier from Billy Jack Haynes doing those wrist curls. Now it's time to hear from Bobby Heenan and Hercules.
It is always a privilege and a pleasure for me to articulate on the subject of professional wrestling with one of the busiest managers in this great sport today. He is the distinguished resident of Beverly Hills, California. He is Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Why don't you get it straight? Now, you're going to have 90-some thousand people
yelling
saying
weasel.
Why? Keep your mouth shut. Can't you just say Bobby the Brain? I've proven myself as a brain. I've put this man in the highest form of professional wrestling now. Look at the conditioning. Look at this man, what he's going to do to Billy Jerk. I've got the King. I've got Bundy. And I've got Andre the Giant, the heavyweight champion of the world. And you dare call me some furry, 4-footed, tail-infested, flea-bitten animal?
I apologize, Bobby Heenan. I will never call you Weasel again.
You know, Billy Jack Haynes, it has been written, and it's been laid down, handed down from generation to generation. You'll get that, Bobby. From soothsayers and sages, I've sat with the wise men. I've marched with the greatest warriors that ever crossed the world. Billy Jack Haynes, this time, the Silver Dome, WrestleMania 3, it's going to be you and me. It's going to be a death trap. And when I slap that full Nelson on you, I'm going to rip the bones from your back. Billy Jack Haynes, you're through. And then we're going to go out there and I'm going to watch the Giant and Hulk Hogan, the greatest match of all times.
It is. I agree with you on that. I thank you very much, Hercules. You're still upset.
I don't like you, Mean Gene.
Okay, I thank you very much. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Now, you want to get down to talking about something with
I
paws
would,
and
but
tails
we're
and
out of
fur?
time. I'm sorry. We're all out of... What?
All right, very interesting promo there from Hercules, from soothsayers to sages. Wow, Herc also taking his gimmick seriously as of late. And of course, the promo goes a little long for Hercules' taste here. He runs out of ideas of what to say, so randomly utters the sentence, "I don't like you, Mean Gene." As he walks off the set, I wrote LOL, made me laugh. And we're out of time as Bobby Heenan tries to come back in and cut a promo. Sorry, we're out of time, pal. Bobby Heenan gets the shaft there. And next week on Superstars, we learn it'll be the debut, the in-ring debut of Hacksaw Jim Duggan, scheduled to take on the Iron Sheik. Also highlights from Saturday night's main event as we move on. One more episode of TV here this week on The Grenade. It's WWF Wrestling Challenge, March 15th, 1987, taped back February 17th, Springfield, Massachusetts, at the Civic Center. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan on commentaries. We head off to the ring. It's Billy Jack Haynes taking on Moondog Spot. Before the match begins, we see a clip of the recent Billy Jack versus King Kong Bundy match in which Bobby Heenan distracts Haynes long enough for Hercules to lay in an attack by the Heenan family there. We also get an insert promo, another raging, scary promo here from Billy Jack Haynes as he warns Bobby Heenan to stay out of his way at WrestleMania. Back to the match, Haynes versus Spot, in case you forgot. Spotty attacks Billy Jack Haynes, but only pisses him off, and it's straight into the full Nelson. Haynes picking up the win in just 1 minute and 9 seconds here. And Spotty will continue to appear on TV here through the end of this month, but in reality, I believe he finished up somewhere around March 10th, so Moondog Spot not long here for WWF TV as we go off to a promo involving Jesse the Body Ventura and a shirtless Bob Uecker. And Bob, for his age, doesn't look too bad here. Looks kind of in shape for the average guy. But Jesse gets on to him about that white chest hair, no kidding. Ventura tells Uecker it looks like wool. Indeed, Bob, indeed. And it wasn't too long ago we heard a promo from the WWF champion Hulk Hogan. Now we're going to hear from the flip side. It's Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with Bobby the Brain Heenan and challenger Andre the Giant.
Well, Andre the Giant, the one thing I will say for you, sir, you have certainly gotten the attention of the heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan, the man you're going to be meeting next Sunday, the 29th, in the Silverdome.
I'm going to do the talking, he's going to do the wrestling. And Hogan, you're going to step in that ring as a heavyweight champion of the world. The eyes of this whole world of professional sports is on you right now. Can you retain the championship of the world? Will you be able to backpedal? Will you be able to run? Will you be able to save that title, the one you cherish more than anything in this world? Hogan, save yourself the worry. The answer is no. 3 years as heavyweight champion of the world is coming to an end the 29th of March in the Pontiac Silverdome. 15 years this man is undefeated. Nobody's beaten him. Nobody's come close to beating him. It is over. Hulkamania is dead. The next heavyweight champion of the world.
Hulk Hogan has said that Hulkamania will live forever. We're going to find out in the Silverdome on the 29th when this man, Andre the Giant, beats the champion.
Bigger!
WrestleMania 3, bigger, better, badder. And we're back to the ring. 6-man tag team action, the Dream Team. It's Valentine and Beefcake teaming with Dino Bravo, luscious Johnny V in their corner, taking on the trio of Paul Roma, the Italian Stallion Salvatore Bellomo, and Mike Luca. And before the match gets going, we see a clip again of Adrian Adonis cutting the hair of Beefcake as Brudai looks incensed in this match, coming to the ring with a bandana on his head to hide the terrible haircut he was given by Adrian Adonis. We also get an insert promo here from the Rougeau brothers, who warned Dino Bravo not to get involved in their match with the Dream Team at WrestleMania. Of course, we know Bravo will be in the corner of the Dream Team at the pay-per-view for some odd reason. Early on, it's Paul Roma with a surprise cross body block on Dino Bravo, snags a 2 count, but Dino takes over on the Italian Stallion Salvatore Bellomo. Valentine tags in, but old Sal busts out the old mule kick to a big pop here, from me anyway. Haven't seen Sal use that in quite some time. But the hammer right back on top, shoulder breaker, takes Bellomo down as Paul Roma tags back in, but he eats a gut-wrench suplex from Dino Bravo. Bravo tagging into Beefcake here. Brudai comes in, but eats a drop kick from Paul Roma, and Roma rips the bandana off of the head of Brutai, and he is hot. Then Roma immediately tags out to partner Luca and gives Luca the bandana. What an asshole move for a babyface. Luca unwisely holds onto the bandana and enters the ring. As Brutus Beefcake turns around, sees Luca holding the bandana, he is incited, and it's beatdown time on poor Mike Luca here. Then Beefcake with a backbreaker before Bravo tags in with a nice-looking back suplex. Dream Team and Dino Bravo picking up the win after that, 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Post-match, Beefcake attacks Luca again, beats the living crap out of him here. Valentine and company have to keep pulling Beefcake off of poor Mike Luca. A man with the looks of Brutus Beefcake, all that vain, can't stop looking like a fool and making poor Mike Luca pay for it here. Paul Roma never even has to pay for ripping the bandana off of Beefcake's head. Poor Mike Luca. As it's time for yet another promo, Mean Gene Okerlund once again standing by. Rick Martel and Tom Zank, Can-Am Connection.
All right, get ready for 12 of the greatest matches, each and every one of them. A main event on one card, under one roof at the Silverdome in WrestleMania 3, Sunday afternoon, March the 29th. Veterans Don Morocco, the magnificent one, and ace cowboy Bob Orton now combining their talents as a tag team to meet this duel. Tom Zink, Rick Martel, a Can-Am Connection. You gentlemen are on fire, and you're going to have to be at your best in WrestleMania 3, Tom, to meet and defeat this combination of Morocco and Orton.
That's right, Gene. Like you said, we have a very tough test, but it's a very important day for us, and we're really excited to be a part of WrestleMania 3. Orton and Morocco, we've faced them before. We know they're a very tough team, and we know we got to keep an eye on Mr. Fuji.
Oh, indeed, keep an eye on Mr. Fuji. Rick Martel, you know how devious this gentleman can be.
That's right, and and whether you like Morocco and Orton or not, you have to be impressed with them, I mean, even if you don't like the way they walk or they talk about how the two coolest people in the world, and Morocco, what a powerhouse, and that Orton, what a wrestling machine, and we are going to have the test of our life in WrestleMania, but think about it. 93,000 people. You know what energy that's going to generate, and we're going to need every one bit of it.
All right, WrestleMania 3 upcoming. It's the Can-Ams versus Orton and Morocco. They say they need the support of the fans. Not the greatest promo ever, but then again, wasn't really expecting it to be. Speaking of promos, another Bob Uecker bumper spliced in here before we go back to the ring. It's the Junkyard Dog taking on Rick Rinslow. We get an insert promo here from Bobby Heenan and Harley Race. In the past, in these insert promos during the dog matches, Bobby Heenan has taught the dog lessons number 1 and lessons number 2. Of course, lesson number 1 being how to bow before the king. Lesson number 2 is how to kneel before the king. And now, here comes lesson number 3. They're going to teach JYD how to place the crown on the head of the King Harley Race at WrestleMania 3. And hey, before the match gets going, I should also point out referee here, Rita Marie, still with the company in mid-March. And that should be no shocker. She's worked house shows recently, and this match was actually taped back on February 17th. And the dog comes to the ring this week having none of it. No selling Rinslow and a headbutt and a very lazy, low power slam. The thump barely gets him up past his waistline. Does the dog. Rinslow goes down. JYD scores the win in just 1 minute and 2 seconds. Didn't even look like he wanted to be out there, but he does a little juking with the kids after the match. As we move on to a promo from Jake the Snake Roberts and Alice Cooper. Jake has words for the Honky Tonk Man before Alice Cooper tells Jimmy Hart he better keep on dancing. And with that, I got a couple more promos, more sound bites lined up for you here. It's Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with the adorable Adrian Adonis. And on the other side, it's Bobby Heenan and the mighty Hercules. They're all talking. You got it. WrestleMania 3.
All right, in WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, this man, Adrian Adonis from New York City, to meet Roddy Piper. It will be, by the way, Piper's very last match in professional wrestling. And that cannot be a good sign at all. Not only that, the loser of this one will have his head shaven. Adrian Adonis?
Yes. Everybody knows that's what's going to happen to the loser. Everybody knows that Roddy Piper is his last match. He's going to Hollywood to make his Super B movies. Now, Mr. Piper, do you think I'm going to let you put any clippers on my head? You've got to be insane. You've got to be a mental case. Coming out of this match, you've got to be the loser because the payback is coming right to you. I am going to be the Clifford Claude. I'm the one that's going to do all the cutting. But I got to decide what kind of tool I'm going to use. Hedge clipper, chainsaw, anything violent I'd like.
All right, I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Don't weasel out of this one, pal. It's a big match. You know that. Thank you very much. Come on in, Bobby Heenan.
Oh, you like to drop those cliches, don't you?
What's that?
Talking about him sneaking out of this one.
You didn't want to say it, did you?
I can say it. All I can say is this man right here, Hercules, the strongest man in professional wrestling, is going to show Billy Jerk what it's all about.
What about it?
No, Billy Jack Haynes, I've told you and I've warned you. I've told you every move that you make, every breath that you take, I'll be standing right behind you, and I'm going to be watching you, and I'm going to wait for the time when I can strap these arms around you and break your neck, just like you said you would be mine. The Silver Dome, Pontiac, Michigan, WrestleMania, it's your death trap. I'm going to rip the bones from your back, Billy Jack Haynes.
And I'm going to manage the heavyweight champion of the world. See, Andre the Giant is going to become the heavyweight champion at the expense of the number one man today.
That's what I like about you. You always think in a positive vein.
Don't you?
Well, of course I do.
Who's going to pick a winner?
What if I told you that Hulk Hogan would be the heavyweight champion of the world?
I'd say you're wrong. You pick a winner.
I'll pick Hulk Hogan. You want to bet on it?
Sure. I'll bet you anything on it. But you'll be a loser, just like Hogan.
All right, Adonis says Piper's off to make Super B movies after WrestleMania. And based on these promos, it sounds like Adrian Adonis went from doing the gay gimmick, if you will, to just somebody who's lost his mind, gone nuts, is the adorable Adrian. And as for Hercules, he says that Billy Jack was the one who initiated this whole I'm going to break your neck thing, but Hercules will gladly be the one that breaks the neck of Billy Jack Haynes. Bobby Heenan also gets in a quick line about Andre winning the world title because, hey, why not? As it's back to the ring with Axe and Smash Demolition. Luscious Johnny V, still their manager here as they take on the team of CV Offie and Tommy Sharp. And just a reminder that the Demolition's new music, well, it rules.
The opponent, soon to be making their way to the ring area, will be accompanied by their manager, Luscious Johnny V. At a combined weight of 568 pounds, Axe and Smash Demolition.
Demolition indeed, a power to reckon with here in the World Wrestling Federation. I noticed at the end of the last match, Bobby the Brain, you stood up and showed the proper respect as the junkyard dog left the ring.
No, I wanted him to know that I'm watching him at all times.
Congratulate you on that.
I'll tell you something about Uecker. You know, when he played ball, he was responsible for the St. Louis Cardinals winning the pennant one year.
He was.
Yeah, the last month he had hepatitis. Where does Johnny V come up with this? With guys like this?
Unbelievable. Oh, going to work right away, didn't he?
All right, no words yet for the Demos theme, but still very awesome in its own way. Bobby Heenan leaves commentary during this match for the upcoming Snake Pit segment. And with Johnny V standing ringside, usually Heenan's replacement here on commentary, it's Gorilla Monsoon calling this one all alone as we get an insert promo from Aretha Franklin talking WrestleMania 3, singing America the Beautiful, and she questions if the Demolition count as Americans, or is it beautiful? Parts unknown. Utah? Idaho. South Dakota? Montana. Back to the action. Smash enters the ring with that yellow zigzag pattern paint on his bicep, once again to hide the tattoo. Remember when he first made his debut, Barry Darsow as Smash, he smeared black paint over his tattoos. Now he's getting a little more creative, kind of a zigzag lightning pattern of yellow this week to cover those tats. As Demolition attack their opponents with their masks still on, very cool, and dump CV Offie and Sharp out of the ring. From there, CV Offie never tags in. Tommy Sharp demolished and destroyed as Demolition revert back to the decapitation maneuver, scoring the win in 1 minute and 58 seconds. So the Demos, they have the music. They're back to the decapitation finisher, the backbreaker, and the elbow off the middle rope combo. Now they just need to fine-tune the manager situation, and they're on their way. Seriously, though, Bill Eadie, a longtime veteran, and Darsow knows what he's doing after runs with Watts, Florida, Crockett. These guys are already working well together. Add to that their unique look, and you can already feel something special developing with Demolition. They can easily be slid in as the number 2 heel team behind the Hart Foundation soon, because Volkov and Sheik is getting very old hat. And it is off to the Snake Pit with Andre the Giant and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Before they're brought out, Jake the Snake Roberts talks intimidation being a factor. He says intimidation leads to fear, which leads to the advantage. When talking about the Honky Tonk Man, Snake warns HTM about their upcoming match at WrestleMania as Bobby Heenan and Andre enter the Snake Pit. The Snake tries to ask Andre a question, but Heenan redirects it to himself. Heenan asks Jake to pick a winner in the Hogan and Andre match, but Robert slyly kind of sidesteps the question, doesn't really give an answer. Jake talks about Andre losing the respect of the people. Roberts then questions Andre why he needs someone like Bobby Heenan to get the job done. Andre stares intensely at the camera, never moving. Back to that zombie-esque state of mind, never responding or registering anything Jake is saying to him. Bobby Heenan continues to run down Hulk Hogan and, of course, put the Giant over. Pretty basic promo here, but yet another good one from Bobby Heenan as Andre the Giant just looks focused at WrestleMania. As we're off yet again to the WrestleMania 3 report, it's the same as Superstars, so it's back to the ring. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat taking on the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. All right. Before the match gets going, we see a clip of the January Saturday night's main event when George Steele, quote-unquote, kidnapped Miss Elizabeth. We're then treated to an insert promo from the Macho Man who refers to George Steele as a non-factor at WrestleMania. Dig it! Aha! Referee once again Rita Marie for this matchup. Lots of arm work here by the Dragon, and I do mean lots. In fact, it goes on for so long, the announcers have time to discuss the Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant match at WrestleMania. We do see some nice drop kicks and arm drags intertwined here from the Dragon, of course. But the Duke of Dorchester with a cheap cutoff and tosses Steamboat over the top rope, but you guessed it, the Dragon skins the cat back inside, delivering a beautiful delayed suplex and a flying chop off the top rope into the head of Doherty. Steamboat getting the win in 4 minutes, 52 seconds. And much like the Killer Bees match we talked about on Superstars, far too long for a squash match, even with Doherty in there, who can be fun at times. I wish Pete was doing the Golden Terror gimmick, once again from the 1970s fame. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. It's on some all-star episodes on the Peacock. It's also, I'm sure, all over YouTube as well. Pete Doherty as the Golden Terror in the late 70s. And we've got one more soundbite for you this week before we close things up. Me and Gene Okerlund standing by with two of the best. It's the WWF champion Hulk Hogan and Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Folks I'm talking to around the country right now, not happy at all to see this man hang it up to retire from this great sport, especially at the peak of his career. But I know, Roddy Piper, you're going to be heading to Hollywood, bigger and better things. You're going to be Brian Donlevy, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and Pee Wee Herman all in one. You're going to do it all.
How does he do that? I don't know what I'm... You know, there's a lot of people I figured be pretty happy that I'm gone since I've been the Gaddafi of professional wrestling for I don't know how long. And I've thought to myself, since I've seen some of the comments that the people that are happiest are the wrestlers. Why had one fellow say to me, one fan, he said, you had enough, huh? Mister, you have no idea what enough is. I ain't never had enough till they bury me. I'm in the peak of my career right now, 32 years old, on top of the world. There's only one other man that I can include in my category in the same peak. When I say farewell, I won't say farewell and goodbye. May you be half an hour in heaven before the devil knows you're dead. The only other man I know that is in my class is the world's heavyweight champion himself, Hulk Hogan. Yes, sir. Yeah, take a look at that. You think that ain't some ham-hock? Whoa!
No, even the store, man. Piper gave me the thoughts. He said you are on the verge of greatness or you're on the verge of disaster. What do you want? Do you want to live forever? Tell me how. Tell me how, man. Piper looked at me and said, brother, Andre the Giant is the only thing that's stopping Hulkamania for living forever, man. They believe in you. They train, they say the prayers, they live the same with you. And Andre the Giant's the only thing that can ruin a man. Get by him. And not only this generation of little Hulksters, but the ones after, and the ones after, and the ones forevermore. We'll walk tall with pride. We'll be Hulkamaniacs. And through them, you can live forever. What a thought, Piper. What a place to put my head, man. 7'4", 550 pounds, 90,000 live, the whole world watching. Andre the Giant. Yes, I do want to live forever.
All right, Mean Gene having some fun there. Hot Rod off to Hollywood to mingle with the likes of Brian Dennehy and Pee Wee Herman. And the Hulkster again there. More obsession with living forever, brother. Not sure what the deal with that is, dude. At this point, all of the big angles are out of the way. This is what they call promotion time. Time to promote the show. And they are doing an A+ job of promoting the hell out of WrestleMania 3, continuously reminding us in each and every segment the matches, the storylines, making everything feel important. It's all everyone is talking about WrestleMania 3. All right, and that'll wrap up the first 2 weeks of March 1987 here in WWF TV. We'll be back again next week with the final 2 weeks of March TV. Heading into the big night of March 29th, WrestleMania 3. It's the final 2 weeks build to the big event. I didn't want to overload you guys here this week. Lots of sound bites here this week, especially through Primetime Wrestling. Lots of fun stuff from Bobby and Gorilla, and just lots of fun stuff all throughout the shows, as it's sort of like the calm before the storm in many ways. Seems like all of the big build, all of the major angles have now went down, and now we're not coasting into WrestleMania. No. WWF still putting a lot of work into the production and into building up each and every match on the show. Well, maybe except for Hillbilly Jim, King Kong Bundy, and the little guys. Nevertheless, next week we return with the final 2 weeks of TV. We're heading into the home stretch on what has been a long and winding, fun road to WrestleMania 3.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
All right, guys, and it's 2 weeks down. 2 more weeks to go here in the month of March 1987 on the road to WrestleMania 3. Just 2 weeks away. And next week, we're going to conquer those final 2 weeks of WWF TV. For here in March, we're going to cover the weekends of the 21st and the 28th, leading into Wrestling Challenge on the 29th, which is also the date of WrestleMania 3. That's 2 more weeks of primetime Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. We're going to talk everything the final 2 weeks leading in to the big event we've been building to since the very beginning here of the 1987 project, WrestleMania 3, right around the corner in just 2 weeks' time. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also follow and like us on Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade for your chance to win one of 2 of the free prize giveaways we're going to be giving away as part of that WrestleMania 3 definitive edition of the Grenade. We'll be announcing both winners, and all you have to do is follow us on social media for your chance to enter and win. Those prizes being the autograph promo pics of both Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and the Honky Tonk Man as well. 2 free prizes, 2 winners to be announced as part of WrestleMania 3, the definitive edition here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade, coming in just 2 weeks' time. The excitement getting so thick you could cut it with a knife. Another great reason to follow us on social media, I've been adding tons of videos and images, lots of great old school nostalgia there on both our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Also, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Wrestling Grenade, always adding new videos there as well. From all throughout wrestling history, most recently dropped some AWA footage, some WWF footage from both 87 and 1988. Everything from Roddy Piper's final Piper's Pit in Philadelphia at the Spectrum. Special guest Danny Davis, unexpected guest Adrian Adonis, both Davis and Adonis pay for their mistakes there. We also see a rare match featuring the Baron von Raschke as the manager of the Powers of Pain, the transformation of the one-man gang into Akeem, a really fun Hart Foundation promo. A lot of people have been getting a lot of laughs from this Hart Foundation promo after turning babyface. Jimmy Hart keeping 25% of the Hart Foundation's money, as well as adopting the Rougeau brothers as his new tag team. We hear from Bret Hart and the Anvil there, a really fun promo that has a ton of people laughing on social media. Also, the beginning of the feud we never needed, Colonel DeBeer shoving Jimmy Snuka off the top rope down onto the concrete floor. Beginning their rivalry in the AWA. Action between Chief Wahoo McDaniel versus the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez. We get a promo, a WWF Event Center promo featuring a pre-Red Rooster Terry Taylor. Just for the fun of it, added a 60-second Budweiser sponsor commercial for the 1988 Summer Olympics. So much up there right now on our YouTube channel. Again, that's youtube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Go check it out. Subscribe now. And of course, as always, I ask you to give our Patreon account a try. That's patreon.com/WrestleCopia, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. 12 tiers to choose from, but the $5 all access tier is all I'm asking. Give it a try. 6 gifts for $5, digital downloads, early access to many of the podcasts, all of my insanely detailed show notes, the Patreon exclusive watch-along series, and so much more over there at the all access tier, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. And of course, there's no subscription. Cancel anytime. Give it a go for a month, and I think you'll like the content we offer. And again, just thank you guys so very much, the loyal listeners out there that continue to make the Grenade and the WrestleCopia podcast network what it is. Without you, I wouldn't be here, guys. It's you guys that give me the drive to continue each and every week. You guys make all of this worthwhile. I appreciate you so very much. And I do ask everyone to please continue liking, following, subscribing, retweeting, downloading, listening to our shows, getting the name out there, getting the WrestleCopia brand out there. Let everybody know, hey, we exist too. I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't have a bunch of big names in my bag. But what we do promise is research like no other and a damn fun time dissecting and analyzing each and every aspect of any project that we tackle here on the Grenade and any of our other programs as well, like Monday Warfare, this Raw versus Nitro over there, the Monday Warfare Battles Within program. And as promised, we will be back again next week, the final 2 weeks of March 1987 in the WWF and the road to WrestleMania 3. Hacksaw Jim Duggan finally going to step into the WWF ring. We'll see the final edition of Roddy Piper's Pit. Last minute words from both champion and challenger Andre the Giant getting ready for the biggest match of his entire life, taking on WWF champion Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania for the WWF title. As promised, we'll also have more on Gorilla Monsoon's visit to the training camp of Andre the Giant. Yes, all of that and Soundbites Galore next week again on episode 72 of The Grenade. So until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin and we'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
You're going to need help in WrestleMania.
Yeah, to carry that new gold belt back to the dressing room.
Let me explain something to you, Brain.